Chapter 1403. The God Clan is ruthless and treacherous. We can't work with them. I think it's a good choice to work with the God Clan. At least we can break the formation faster. If the formation isn't broken, we can't even see Mo Qingyun, let alone kill Mo Qingyun. That's right. I also think that working with the God Clan is the best choice. All of a sudden, all the major forces had their own opinions and formed two different camps. Overall, the number of people who agreed with forming an alliance with the God Clan was more than those who opposed. To us, Mo Qingyun is a bigger threat. I've decided to form an alliance with the God Clan for the time being. Lu Tan struggled internally for a while. He finally decided to form an alliance with the God Clan for the time being. After voicing his thoughts, Lu Tan turned to look at Chen Pailan and asked, "Junior Sister Chen, what's your decision?" "I also think that it's better to form an alliance with the God Clan for the time being." Seeing Lu Tan ask her, Chen Pailan revealed a cold expression and stated her decision. Seeing Lu Tan and Chen Pailan express their opinions, some of the forces who were originally against the alliance could only accept this reality. They had no choice. In front of the attitude of the two immortal palaces, their opinions were insignificant. "All right, we'll work with you." After reaching an agreement, Lu Tan looked coldly at the fifth prince and decided to collude with him. Seeing that Lu Tan and the rest were willing to cooperate, the fifth prince revealed a bright smile. He was very satisfied with this outcome. Lu Tan and the rest were not weaker than them. If they fought with Lu Tan and the rest first, then it would be difficult to deal with Mo Qingyun. In that case, it would be equivalent to letting Mo Qingyun reap the benefit. This was not something he wanted to see. Now that both sides could form an alliance to deal with Mo Qingyun, this was undoubtedly the best outcome. Oh no, the God Clan and Lu Tan have formed an alliance. After learning about the situation outside through the formation, Mo's expression immediately turned grave. The situation that he was most unwilling to see, and also the situation that he had never imagined actually happened before his eyes. These guys actually didn't even abide by the basic principles in order to deal with me. Seeing that Lu Tan and the rest didn't even care about principles, Mo couldn't help but sigh. He knew how much Lu Tan and the rest hated him. With the divine race joining hands with Lu Tan and the rest, their speed of destroying the array formation increased several times all at once. Subsequently, under the joint attack of Lu Tan and the others, the speed at which the formation was being destroyed increased by several times. From the looks of it, the formation can only last for about 5 days. Seeing the rate at which the array formation was being destroyed, Mo's expression tensed up and he felt an intense sense of urgency. This situation did not bode well for him. Inside the 5 directional towers, "Qingyun, I've successfully refined the heart of charm." At this time, Murong Qingyu's pleasantly surprised voice entered Mo Qingyun's mind. "It's already been refined." Hearing Murong Qingyu's words, Mo Qingyun opened his eyes with joy. His figure moved and went to see Murong Qingyu. Knowing that Murong Qingyu had refined the heart of charm, Mo Qingyun's worries could finally be put down. From the looks of it, the situation could be considered under control. The worst outcome would be him leading everyone to escape. Soon, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of Murong Qingyu and sensed the changes in Murong Qingyu. Under Mo Qingyun's sensing, he discovered that Murong Qingyu's cultivation had successfully broken through to the true immortal realm. "Qingyun, here's some charming heavenly demon blood. Take it to dissolve the charming poisonous fragrance." Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, Murong Qingyu did not waste any time and directly handed a jade bottle to Mo Qingyun. Looking at the jade bottle that Murong Qingyu handed over, Mo Qingyun did not exchange pleasantries with her. He raised his hand and received the jade bottle, saying, "Your cultivation has just broken through to the true immortal realm, and you've also extracted a large amount of blood essence. You need to cultivate and stabilize it immediately. I'll send you into the 5 directional towers now." Murong Qinyu nodded and did not object to Emo Qingyun's suggestion. Then, Emo Qingyun left with Murong Qinyu and entered the 5 directional towers with her. After Emo Qingyun entered the 5 directional towers, he took out the jade bottle that contained the charming heavenly demon blood from his cosmos sac. There are only 5 days left until the formation is completely destroyed. The time left for me is not enough. Thinking of the time that the formation could last, Emo Qingyun's face revealed a grave expression and a strong sense of urgency arose. He must refine the charming heavenly demon blood at the fastest speed and dissolve the poison of the charming poisonous fragrance in his body. After he dissolved the poison of the charming poisonous fragrance, it would be hard to say who would kill who between him and Lu Tan and the others. He opened the jade bottle that contained the heavenly demon blood, and a stream of pure celestial spiritual energy flowed out of the jade bottle. It seems that Qinyu should have consumed a lot of blood essence when extracting it. Thinking of how Murong Qinyu did not hesitate to take the risk of exhausting her cultivation for him, Emo Qingyun's heart was moved. Emo Qingyun sighed inwardly, and began to refine and absorb the charming heavenly demon blood to dissolve the charming poisonous fragrance in his body. Under Emo Qingyun's absorption, the charming heavenly demon blood turned into tiny red lines and entered Emo Qingyun's body. When the charming heavenly demon blood entered Emo Qingyun's body, it turned into tiny blood nets and captured the charming poisonous fragrance in Emo Qingyun's body. At this moment, the charming poisonous fragrance in Emo Qingyun's body was like a small fish that was captured by the net formed by the charming heavenly demon blood. As time passed, the charming poisonous fragrance in Emo Qingyun's body became less and less, and the star position power also became smoother and smoother. The suppression of Emo Qingyun's star position power weakened, and the suppression of his bloodline and divine soul also rapidly weakened. According to this speed of dissolution, the charming poisonous fragrance in my body will be completely removed in 3 days. Sensing the situation in his body, Emo Qingyun's expression became joyful. With an expectant expression, he muttered to himself, "Senior Brother Gu, wait for me. I will come out to help you very soon." While Emo Qingyun was refining the charming poisonous fragrance, the situation of Emo and the rest became more and more urgent. Under the joint attack of Lu Tan and the rest, the pressure on Gu Linxing and the rest became greater and greater, and the speed of the array being broken also became faster and faster. "Junior Brother Emo, we can't go on like this. The array will be completely destroyed sooner or later." Gu Linxing revealed an anxious expression as he watched the formations being destroyed one after another. He suggested to Emo, "Why don't we all charge out together, and then we'll cover your escape?" Hearing Gu Linxing's words, the others nodded one after another, expressing their approval of Gu Linxing's suggestion. Seeing the reaction of Gu Linxing and the rest, Emo felt touched and said in a deep voice, "Senior brothers and sisters, give me 3 more days. If I still don't have a way to resolve this crisis, I will do as Senior Brother Gu said. How about it?" "All right, then it's settled." Seeing Emo say this, Gu Linxing and the rest did not force Emo and accepted his suggestion. Chapter 1404. 3 days' time passed in a twinkle. Under Lu Tan and the rest breaking the formations consecutively for 3 days, the area covered by the charming fairy pavilion's formations was now less than 1,000 meters. Looking at the current situation, there was at most a day's time and the formations would be completely broken. Getting such a result, Gu Linxing and the rest finally could not sit still anymore. Carrying on like this was not a solution. If they still did not think of a way to leave, they might really be trapped to death here. "Junior apprentice Brother Emo, have you thought of a way yet? We can't wait helplessly for death anymore." Seeing that the 3 days' time was up, Gu Linxing revealed an anxious expression and inquired about Emo's situation. When Gu Linxing asked Emo, Shi Meng and the rest by the side similarly revealed anxious expressions. They also felt that if they continued to delay, the situation would become increasingly worse for them. Looking at everyone's anxious faces, Emo also had an anxious look and said in a solemn voice, "Wait another half a day. Half a day later, I can bring everyone and charge out." Hearing Emo say so, Gulinxing and the rest all revealed hesitant looks, not knowing whether they should believe Emo or not. "All right, then we'll wait another half a day." After some contemplation, Gulinxing finally still decided to give it a try, believing that Emo could bring everyone a miracle. After all, even if they charged out now, the chances of leaving alive were less than 30%. Following that, Emo and Gulinxing and the rest did their best to guard the remaining formations. Time trickled by bit. The formations were broken one after another. The situation became increasingly grim. Seeing such a situation, the expressions of Gulinxing and the rest became increasingly solemn. Their moods also became more and more oppressed. Compared to Gulinxing and the rest's mood, Lu Tan and the rest were in a much better mood, each and every one of them revealing smug cold smiles. "Emo Qingyun, you all had better surrender without putting up a fight. If you all surrender without putting up a fight now, we can consider leaving your corpses intact. Gulinxing, I'll give you a chance now. As long as you hand over Emo Qingyun, we can spare your lives. Everybody, let's put in more effort to break the formations. At most there's still half a day's time, and the remaining formations will all be broken." One arrogant cry after another came from outside the formations. Hearing the arrogant words of Lu Tan and the others, Gulinxing's face turned extremely ugly. He was so angry that the veins on his neck bulged. He, Gulinxing, was not afraid of anything. When did he become so aggrieved? "These fellows are too arrogant. I'll go out and kill a few of them first." Gulinxing's face was full of anger. He wanted to rush out of the formation and fight Lu Tan and the others to the death. Emomo's expression became stern when he saw Gulinxing's actions. He hurriedly raised his hand to stop him and said, "Senior brother Gu, don't be rash. They're trying to anger us on purpose." Under Emomo's control, Gulinxing's body trembled as he regained some of his senses. Seeing that Gulinxing had regained his senses, Momo put on a solemn expression and said in a deep voice, "Wait for me for a moment, I will immediately lead everyone out." Emomo's body moved and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes after his words sounded. Seeing Emomo's figure disappear, Gulinxing and the others were shocked. They were quite shocked by Emomo's actions. Just like that, Emo disappeared into thin air. Even her aura had completely disappeared. Junior brother Emo disappeared? Just disappeared in front of my eyes? Junior brother Mo's methods are indeed shocking. Perhaps he can really create a miracle and lead everyone out of here safely. No matter what, we've persevered. The rest is up to Junior brother Emo. I believe that Junior brother Emo will definitely create a miracle and lead us out of here. Seeing Emomo's performance, Gulinxing and the others felt a little more confident. They believed that Emo could lead them out of here. Emo entered the 5-directional pagoda and came before Emo Qingyun. He reported to Emo Qingyun, "Main body, the formation's area of coverage is less than 500 meters. At most, it can last for 6 more hours. The enchanting poisonous fragrance in my body has been removed. The formation is no longer important." Emo Qingyun revealed a faint smile when he heard Emomo's report. He slowly stood up and said, "It has been tough on you during this period of time. Leave the rest to me." "Yes." Emo nodded. His figure flashed and disappeared in front of Emo Qingyun's eyes. "God race, people from the various superpowers. You've been arrogant for so long. It's time for me to retaliate." Thinking about the grievances he had suffered these days, Emo Qingyun's expression gradually turned cold. His body emitted a killing intent. Following which, Emo Qingyun left the 5-directional pagoda and came before Gulinxing and the others. "Junior brother Emo, can we kill our way out now?" Seeing Emo Qingyun return, Gulinxing and the others were anxious. They hurriedly asked Emo Chingyun. Gulinxing said, Junior brother Emo, what should we do next? How are you going to lead everyone to retaliate? Everyone, retreat to the innermost part of the formation. Then, wait for my instructions. Hearing Gulinxing and the others' inquiry, Emo Chingyun revealed a playful smile and instructed them in a deep voice. Retreat to the innermost part of the formation? Hearing Emo Chingyun's instructions, Gulinxing and the others were puzzled. Wasn't this equivalent to walking into a trap? Once the formation outside was broken, would they still have a chance to escape? Looking at the confused and puzzled faces of the crowd, Emo Chingyun smiled at them and comforted them. Senior brothers and senior sisters, you don't have to worry. I naturally have my reasons for making such arrangements. You will soon understand. Moreover, I won't joke around with my life and everyone's lives, Emo Chingyun said again. Hearing Emo Chingyun's words, Gulinxing and the others did not ask any more questions. They followed Emo Chingyun's instructions. Senior brother Gu, wait a moment. I need your cooperation later. Seeing Gulinxing also retreat to the formation, Emo Chingyun's expression was solemn. He called out to Gulinxing, who was turning around. Hearing Emo Chingyun's call, Gulinxing's body froze. He asked with a joyful expression, Junior brother Emo, what do you need me to do? Are we going to rush out and kill a few people to break the morale of Lu Tan and the others? That's about it. Seeing Gulinxing's reaction, Emo Chingyun smiled faintly and said, Senior brother Gu, I have a remarkable ability that allows me to merge with others and borrow their strength to fight. Now I'm going to merge with you and borrow your strength to go out and kill the enemies. If that's the case, then let's not delay any longer. I can't wait to kill my way out. Hearing Emo Chingyun's words, Gulinxing did not think too much. He just wanted to rush out and kill the enemies. Gate of Fusion. Seeing that Gulinxing did not object, Emo Chingyun used the Gate of Fusion and borrowed Gulinxing's strength to kill the enemies. Soon, two flashing golden doors of light enveloped Emo Chingyun and Gulinxing, merging the two of them into one. As Emo Chingyun and Gulinxing merged, the aura emitted from Emo Chingyun's body immediately rose rapidly. Chapter 1405. The Door of Concealment. After Emo Chingyun used the Door of Fusion and merged with Gulinxing, he immediately concealed himself. After Emo Chingyun concealed himself, his figure flickered and he left the array. After leaving the formation, Emo Chingyun didn't immediately attack Lu Tan and the others. Instead, he circled behind them. You want to team up against me? Emo Chingyun arrived behind Lu Tan and the others. Looking at the divine race and Lu Tan's group in front of him, a smirk appeared on his face. After sizing up Lu Tan and the others, Emo Chingyun took out his god shooter bow and shot at one of the divine race's members. Swoosh! An arrow made of pure immortal spiritual energy pierced through the air, exploding the head of one of the divine race with a domineering force. The explosion of the divine race member's head immediately caused a wave of panic, causing the divine race members to look on with vigilant expressions. Swoosh! Just as the divine race members were beginning to panic, another powerful arrow shot out from behind the immortals. The immortal spiritual energy arrow shot out with the force of a thunderbolt, instantly killing another member of the divine race. Under the attack of this arrow, the lesser star realm divine race member had no ability to resist at all. Seeing his men killed one after another, the fifth prince's face darkened. He said angrily, "What is the meaning of this? Are you trying to burn the bridge after crossing the river? The immortals are indeed despicable and shameless. Seeing that the formation is about to break, they're starting to lose their patience. Fifth prince, we don't need to be polite with them. Let's kill them first, then slowly deal with Emo Chingyun. I've long disliked them. When we were breaking the formation just now, they only knew how to attack from behind. That's right. The ones at the front are all divine race members. The ones being slaughtered are also divine race members. In a short while, the divine race soldiers were enraged. They displayed a posture of mutual hostility. "Don't talk nonsense. Our men didn't ambush you." Faced with the fifth prince's questioning, Lu Tan's expression turned cold, and he responded in the same tone of displeasure. The moment the Protoss soldiers were killed, Lu Tan asked the people of the major forces if they were the ones who had launched the sneak attack. In the end, the answers were unanimous. It was not done by them. Nonsense? Do you think the warriors of the god race would commit suicide to slander you? Seeing that Lu Tan was not willing to be outdone, the fifth prince was furious and his face turned even uglier. While the fifth prince was enraged, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and said from behind Lu Tan and the others, "Yushin clan are despicable and shameless. You can do anything. Who can guarantee that this is not a trick?" As soon as Emo Qingyun's words left his mouth, he immediately received the approval of the various large factions, causing them to echo his words. "That's right. This must be a plot by the Protoss to force us to keep the treasure for ourselves. The god race is indeed despicable and shameless. In order to obtain treasures, they don't like to kill their own kind. Senior brother Lu Tan, we have nothing to say to them. We might as well get rid of them." "That's right. Let's just get rid of these gods. The formation is almost broken anyway." For a moment, the people of the various major forces did not conceal their natures anymore, revealing the ugly side in their hearts. Seeing the behavior of the various major forces, Lu Tan's expression immediately changed, realizing that something was not right. Right now, everyone's behavior was undoubtedly flaunting their prowess to the divine race. So what if it was them who killed the people earlier? A bunch of fools. Thinking up to here, a surge of fury rose up in Lu Tan's heart, cursing the ancestors of the various major forces over and over again. Now, even if they were in the right, it could not be explained clearly. Regardless of whether the divine race people were killed by them or not, they had to shoulder this blame for sure. Presently, they had not captured Emo Qingyun yet, and they were actually thinking of killing each other. Truly a bunch of brainless good-for-nothings. Them doing this right now was undoubtedly letting Emo Qingyun reap the benefits without doing anything. Sure enough, it was you guys who did it. Now, you finally confessed without being pressed. Seeing the behavior of the various major forces, the fifth prince's expression darkened to the extreme. A terrifying murderous intent erupted from his body. Immediately, the fifth prince did not listen to Lu Tan's explanation. He directly ordered the divine race soldiers behind him, "Warriors of the divine race, follow me and kill these shameless immortals. Use their blood as a sacrifice to our dead warriors." "Yes, fifth prince." Hearing the fifth prince's words, the divine race soldiers immediately responded and followed the fifth prince to kill Lu Tan and the others. Seeing this scene, Emo Qingyun could not help but be stunned. He did not expect things to progress so smoothly. Originally, he thought that he would need to put in some effort to incite conflict between Lu Tan and the divine race. Unexpectedly, he only killed a few divine race soldiers and said a few instigating words to successfully incite conflict between them. However, when he thought of the enmity between the divine race and the immortal race, there was nothing strange about it. For tens of millions of years, the divine race and the immortal race had been killing each other endlessly. This kind of enmity had already seeped into their bones. How could they withstand such fanning the flames? The small boat of friendship capsizes just like that. Seeing the two sides fighting each other, Emo Qingyun smiled brightly and could not help but sigh. However, Emo Qingyun did not stop there. This was only the beginning of his plan. As the two sides fought each other, Emo Qingyun came to the back of the divine race and attacked Lu Tan and the others continuously. To be honest, compared to his hatred of the divine race, Emo Qingyun hated the major immortal forces more. These guys all used the banner of eliminating evil and protecting justice, but behind their backs, they were doing sanctimonious things. They were really hypocritical to the extreme. Heaven's soul-sealing fist. A burst of immortal spiritual power that could destroy heaven and earth erupted from Mo Qingyun's fist and turned into a huge shadow of a fist. When the shadow of the fist landed, it sealed the nearly 100 people on Lu Tan's side, preventing them from attacking. Seeing that the hundreds of people were sealed, the divine race soldiers were delighted. They smiled coldly and surrounded them. Surrounded by a tidal wave of divine race soldiers, the nearly 100 people on Lu Tan's side were immediately massacred. Soon, the nearly 100 people were killed. Even their souls did not have time to escape. Retreat, retreat quickly. Seeing that over 100 people on his side had been killed in a short period of time, Lu Tan immediately became anxious. Then, Lu Tan led the people of the major forces and prepared to escape from the charming fairy pavilion. The corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly when he saw what Lu Tan and the others were doing. He reminded the God Race clansmen, "Don't let them escape. Force them into Mo Qingyun's formation and put them in a situation where they are attacked from both sides." "Haha, good idea. Brother, you're wise. We can't let them escape. This time we must kill them. Kill these despicable immortals." Hearing Mo Qingyun's suggestion, the divine race soldiers' expressions changed. They were full of praise for Mo Qingyun's suggestion. Chapter 1406. Hearing Mo Qingyun's suggestion to the divine clan, Lu Tan and the others' faces turned green. He was trying to get them killed. They knew very well what kind of ending they would face once they fell into a situation where they were attacked from both sides. However, what made them most helpless was that although they did not want to retreat towards the formation, they had no choice but to retreat towards the formation. Because in the divine clan camp, there was a guy with terrifying strength. Not only did he have terrifying attack methods, but he also knew a kind of ability to seal others. Facing this guy's attack, they had almost no ability to resist. They could only end up as the other parties meet. With the two sides chasing and retreating, very soon, Lu Tan and the others retreated to the vicinity of the formation. "It's about time." Seeing Lu Tan and the others retreat to the vicinity of the formation, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a smile. He quickly formed a hand seal and blasted towards the formation. Mo Qingyun's action was extremely fast. It was completed almost in the blink of an eye. No one noticed. This hand seal flew into the formation. One by one, the formations were removed one after another, quickly dissipating before everyone's eyes. Now, everyone's attention was attracted by the intense battle in front of them. They did not notice the changes in the formation. Immediately, whether it was the people from the various major factions or the people from the divine clan, they all unknowingly entered the formation. "Since all of you have entered the formation, it's time to draw in the net." Seeing both sides enter the formation, Mo Qingyun did not waste any more time. He immediately formed a hand seal to activate the formation. Very soon, the scene before everyone's eyes rapidly changed. Seeing the scene before them change, whether it was Lu Tan and the others or the fifth prince's divine clan side, they all revealed shocked expressions. "We've fallen into a trap." Looking at the scene before them, the various major factions and the divine clan side all had the same thought at the same time. They actually all unknowingly barged into the formation set up by Mo Qingyun. This situation could be said to be extremely bad for them. Although they had never experienced the power of the formation set up by Mo Qingyun, it was absolutely not something they could withstand. While everyone was still in shock, they also realized that they might have been set up by someone. "Not good, we've fallen into Mo Qingyun's trap. We've fallen into Mo Qingyun's trap." Inside the formation, the difficulty of breaking the formation is increased by at least 10 times. What should we do now? What else can we do? Should we immediately break the formation and try to leave before we are attacked? Realizing that they had fallen into the formation, The people from both sides did not dare to hesitate and immediately acted to break the formation. Boom, boom, boom. Just as the two sides were about to break the formation, fireballs with terrifying temperatures quickly condensed above them. When these huge fireballs appeared, they smashed down on them in a domineering manner, causing them to fall into a fluster. Demonic heaven-sealing fist. While the array formation was attacking Lu Tan and the others, Emo Qingyun did not stay idle. He kept attacking the celestial race and Lu Tan. In the face of Emo Qingyun's powerful attacks, the divines and immortals were immediately trapped in the shadows of his fists. After Lu Tan and the others were separated, they could no longer work together to break the formation. The damage to the formation was reduced to the minimum. Seeing this situation, Lu Tan and the others paled, and could not help but feel a sense of despair. They could not break the formation. The only thing that awaited them was death. Just as Lu Tan and the others were in despair, a familiar figure slowly appeared in front of them. Emo Qingyun. The person who was scheming against them was really Emo Qingyun. When everyone saw the figure clearly, they were all shocked. They couldn't believe that this was real. Although they had all guessed that the person who was scheming against them was Emo Qingyun, they still could not believe it. But when they really saw Emo Qingyun appear, they still found it hard to believe and could not accept this fact. Because the strength that Emo Qingyun was displaying now was a little too strong. When Emo Qingyun entered the Charm Fairy Palace, he was only at the immortal infant stage. Now, Emo Qingyun's cultivation had reached the great circle of the greater star stage. This speed of improvement was too fast. Emo Qingyun, we are all neighbors of the three immortal regions. Do you really want to kill all of us? Lu Tan calmed the shock in his heart. With a cold expression, he glared angrily at Emo Qingyun and questioned him. Neighbors. Emo Qingyun smiled in disdain when he heard Lu Tan's words. Mockery appeared on his face as he said, Lu Tan, since you can kill me, why can't I kill you? The moment you wanted to kill me, you should have known that one day you would be hunted down by me. Emo Qingyun said coldly as he swept his gaze across the crowd. Then, he attacked Lu Tan, the fifth prince, and the others again. At this moment, Emo Qingyun's attacks were much fiercer than before. Every time he attacked, he would take a few lives. The Gate of Evocation. Not only that, when Emo Qingyun killed Lu Tan and the others, he also used the Gate of Evocation to summon ghosts from another array. Soon, ghosts came out of the Gate of Evocation and were summoned by Emo Qingyun to deal with Lu Tan and the others. These ghosts were not weak. They were all in the Lesser Star Stage and Greater Star Stage. With the addition of these ghosts, Lu Tan and the others' situation became even more worrisome. Then, Lu Tan and the fifth prince fell into a situation where they were being slaughtered. This Emo Qingyun is really cruel. Whether he killed the immortal race or the immortal race, he didn't show any emotion. Seeing Emo Qingyun's decisive performance, the fifth prince couldn't help but sigh. For the first time, he felt afraid of Emo Qingyun. He exclaimed, no wonder seventh brother was defeated by him. This guy is not someone ordinary people can deal with. Emo Qingyun, I've underestimated you this time. I will slowly settle this score with you in the future. The fifth prince's face was full of resentment. He glowered at Emo Qingyun and took out a crimson jade bottle. As soon as he took out the bottle, it exuded a thick bloody aura and a terrifying power. The Blood Dragon Bridge. The fifth prince took out the jade bottle and hurriedly formed a hand seal to activate the blood inside. Under the fifth prince's command, the blood flew out of the bottle as if it had a life of its own. The crowd watched as the blood transformed into a crimson bridge that connected the array to the outside world. Seeing that the Blood Dragon Bridge had formed, the fifth prince quickly stepped onto the bridge and used it to leave the formation. The fifth prince of the divine race's treasure can help people leave the array. Let's hurry and follow him. Seeing the fifth prince use the bridge to leave, some of the stronger cultivators around him were pleasantly surprised. Then, these people followed behind the fifth prince, and stepped onto the Blood Dragon sky-crossing bridge. However, the moment they stepped onto the Blood Dragon bridge, they revealed terrified expressions. The Blood Dragon sky-crossing bridge suddenly turned into a blood dragon with a mind of its own and charged at them. Chapter 1407. Seeing the miserable state of the people in front of them, the people behind them immediately stopped in their tracks. They had never imagined that the Blood Dragon bridge that the fifth prince had summoned would have such a terrifying side. Looking at the people behind him, the fifth prince gave them a disdainful look and mocked. "You want to use the Blood Dragon bridge to escape? You're digging your own graves." As soon as the fifth prince finished speaking, he disappeared from everyone's sight. He escaped. Seeing the fifth prince escape, Emochinyon frowned slightly. He did not expect the seventh prince to have such a trick up his sleeve. However, Emochinyon did not take the fifth prince's escape to heart. His main goal now was to get rid of Lu Tan and the rest. Seeing that the fifth prince had escaped, Lu Tan and the others immediately panicked. Without the fifth prince to share the burden of the attacks, the intensity of the attacks they received would immediately reach a whole new level. Seeing Emochinyon coming closer, Lu Tan panicked and said angrily, "Emochinyon, fight me one-on-one if you can. If you win, we'll be at your disposal. If you lose, you'll let us go. How about it? Are you negotiating with me?" Seeing Lu Tan's reaction, Emochinyon curled his lips in disdain and said with a mocking expression, "Lu Tan, what right do you have to negotiate with me? Besides, why should I fight you one-on-one? Is there a need for me to do so?" Lu Tan seemed to have expected that Emochinyon would not agree so easily. When he heard Emochinyon's reply, he said, "Emochinyon, are you afraid? Is that all you've got?" Seeing that Lu Tan was not going to give up and was trying to goad him into action, Emochinyon glanced at him disdainfully and said, "Lu Tan, this kind of childish goading is useless against me. You'd better die peacefully." Seeing that Emochinyon had seen through his trick, Lu Tan's face turned pale and fear rose in him. This time, they were completely defeated. Boom boom boom, while Lu Tan was panicking, Emochinyon once again formed a hand seal to activate the array to kill Lu Tan and the others. Facing Emochinyon and the formation, Lu Tan and the others immediately fell into a situation of being slaughtered. Following that, under the bombardment of Emochinyon and the array formation, the number of survivors in the array formation decreased. Seeing that the number of people around him was decreasing, Lu Tan's face became more and more ugly. He roared with a ferocious expression, "Emochinyon, you are so cruel and bloodthirsty. There will be retribution one day. Sooner or later, you will bring disaster to the Eternal South Immortal Palace. That's my business. You don't have to worry about it." Hearing Lu Tan's words, he responded coldly and charged at him. The sealed door. When Emochinyon attacked Lu Tan, he immediately used the sealed door to seal Lu Tan's cultivation. A mini version of the light gate quickly formed in front of Emochinyon and blasted into Lu Tan's body in an instant. Puff! After being hit by the sealed door, Lu Tan immediately spat out blood and his face turned pale. At the same time, his cultivation began to decline from the complete large star realm to the complete small star realm. My cultivation. Seeing that his cultivation was declining, Lu Tan was shocked and his face turned pale instantly. This kind of situation was too out of his expectations. What kind of superpower is this? Seeing that Emochinyon's divine ability could seal his cultivation, Lu Tan's face was filled with shock. He had never heard of such a superpower. "I will tell you when you are dead." Looking at the shocked Lu Tan, the corners of Emochinyon's mouth curled up slightly as he replied coldly, "Golden snake flashing halberd." The burning immortal halberd in Emochinyon's hand flashed with golden light and his figure disappeared in front of Lu Tan. Seeing that Emochinyon's figure disappeared, Lu Tan's body trembled and a chill ran down his spine. At this moment, the feeling of death enveloped him instantly. Puff! Before Lu Tan could calm down the fear in his heart, a crimson halberd blasted his head. Under Mo Qingyun's halberd, Lu Tan's head was instantly blasted apart, and even Lu Tan's soul did not escape. Lu Tan was dead. Seeing that Lu Tan had been killed by Mo Qingyun, the people from the various major forces were shocked. They were dumbfounded by this scene. At this moment, a sense of self-mockery rose in their hearts, and they realized how ridiculous their previous actions were. Facing such a powerful Mo Qingyun, even if they broke all the arrays, what could the result be? Facing Mo Qingyun's powerful attack, could they withstand it? As for the divine tribe, after the fifth prince fled, they had become headless lambs and were constantly killed under the attacks of the arrays. After Mo Qingyun killed Lu Tan, he turned to look at Chen Pailan with a strong murderous intent in his eyes. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was looking at her, Chen Pailan's delicate body trembled and her face immediately became pale as paper. She begged, Mo, junior brother Mo, I was forced. Can you give me a chance to change? Forced? Hearing Chen Pailan's reason, Mo Qingyun grinned and shook his head. Senior sister, do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? With your great circle grand star realm cultivation, how could Lu Tan force you? At this point, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment and said, if it wasn't Lu Tan who forced you, then it was the people of the Ling Shuang Immortal Palace who forced you. Since the people of the Ling Shuang Immortal Palace want to deal with me, why should I be soft on you? Facing Mo Qingyun's questioning, Chen Pailan was suddenly speechless and realized that her excuse was too far-fetched. But she really did not want to die. Mo, junior brother Mo, what do you want? Only then will you let me go. Looking at Mo Qingyun, who was slowly walking towards her, Chen Pailan's face revealed a pleading expression. She threw a seductive look at Mo Qingyun and said, junior brother Mo, I haven't done my part yet. If you can spare me this time, I'm willing to give my first time to you. What a tempting condition. It seems that I can't refuse. Hearing Chen Pailan's words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly as if he had agreed to Chen Pailan's request. Seeing Mo Qingyun's expression, Chen Pailan's face lit up. She threw a seductive look at Mo Qingyun again and said, junior brother, I knew you weren't such a heartless person. At this moment, when Chen Pailan was pleasantly surprised and thought that she had saved her life, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. Senior sister, you want to use a beauty to seduce me. I do want to agree, but first you have to be a beauty. Mo Qingyun, you've gone too far. Hearing Mo Qingyun's mocking words, no matter how good Chen Pailan's temperament was, she could no longer suppress the anger in her heart. Then, Chen Pailan shouted angrily and took out a long sword to stab Mo Qingyun. Chapter 1408. The Sealed Door. Facing Chen Pailan's attack, Mo Qingyun did not show any mercy. He immediately displayed the sealed door to her. Soon, a mini-light door was formed in front of Mo Qingyun. After the sealed door was formed, it turned into a stream of light and blasted toward Chen Pailan. Seeing the sealed door coming toward her, Chen Pailan was so scared that she was fuming. Her face turned pale and her body trembled. She had just witnessed the power of Mo Qingyun's move. It could seal the cultivation of others. The reason why Lu Tan was killed so quickly was mainly because he was hit by this attack, which sealed his cultivation. Run! Seeing the sealed door approaching in a flash, Chen Pailan did not dare to hesitate. She quickly turned around and fled. However, her speed of escape was still a little too slow compared to the sealed door. Puff! Before Chen Pailan could fly 100 meters away, the sealed door hit her and sealed her blood chi and spiritual soul. After being sealed by the sealed door, the aura that Chen Pailan exuded dropped rapidly. In a short while, Chen Pailan's cultivation fell from the complete large star level to the complete small star level. Seeing her cultivation falling, Chen Pailan's delicate body began to tremble and her face turned ashen. Was she going to die here today like Lu Tan? Senior sister, you'd better go accompany Lu Tan and the others. After sealing Chun Pailan's cultivation, Mo Qingyun did not waste time talking nonsense with her. He charged toward her again. Chun Pailan's cultivation had fallen to the complete small star level. Naturally, she was no match for Mo Qingyun. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qingyun killed her. After killing Chun Pailan, a shocking repulsive force suddenly appeared in Mo Qingyun's body. When this feeling appeared, Mo Qingyun knew that his body had finally reached its limit. Then, a strong figure separated from Mo Qingyun's body. When Gu Linxing separated from Mo Qingyun, he was shocked and looked at Mo Qingyun in disbelief. Although he was unable to control his own body during the fusion process, he had clearly seen what had just happened. After Mo Qingyun borrowed his power, he could explode with such terrifying fighting strength. This was too frightening. At this moment, he could almost imagine how terrifying Mo Qingyun's strength would be once his cultivation reached the large star level. Tut-tut, while Mo Qingyun and Chun Pailan were talking, Shi Meng and the others who had left returned. Junior brother Mo, Senior Gu, what's the situation now? After Shi Meng and the others arrived, they revealed nervous expressions and asked about the current situation. Hearing Shi Meng and the others' questions, Gu Linxing's expression froze, not knowing how to answer them. Because the situation was because the situation? Pailan, the situation was because of it all. Seeing Gu Linxing remain silent, Shi Meng and the others were immediately alarmed and mistakenly thought that the situation had become even worse. Senior Gu, did Junior brother Mo's plan fail? The formation can't stop Lu Tan? Shi Meng said worriedly with a panicked expression. He seemed to be at a loss. If that was the case, what should they do next? The plan failed. Gu Linxing could not help but smile bitterly. He shook his head and said, "No, it's not that the plan failed. It's that the plan went too smoothly. Lu Tan and the others are dead." Everyone was stunned. Their heads were buzzing. They felt that their minds were not enough. How long had it been? In less than 2 hours, Lu Tan and the others were dead. Seeing Shi Meng and the others' reaction, Gu Linxing did not explain much. He led Shi Meng and the others forward. "Follow me. Take a look at the situation. You'll understand." Hearing Gu Linxing's words, Shi Meng and the others did not say much. They immediately followed Gu Linxing. Then, they saw a few wretched figures struggling bitterly in the formation. Looking at these people's appearance, they probably could not hold on much longer. As for Lu Tan, Chun Pailan, Fifth Prince, and the rest, their figures already disappeared in the formation. It could be seen that things should be like Gu Linxing said. Lu Tan and the rest were all dead. How is this possible? Lu Tan is actually really dead. Junior brother Han Wenxing, what are you saying? Could it be that you still hope that Lu Tan and the rest are alive? No, it's just too unexpected. I didn't recover to my senses all of a sudden. Haha, I said it long ago. Junior brother Mo can definitely bring us out. Junior brother Mo is mighty. He really created a miracle. After a brief shock, Shi Meng and the rest let out cheers. They idolized Mo Qingyun to the extreme. To be able to turn the situation around in a near-death situation, apart from Mo Qingyun, there was no one else. While Mo Qingyun and the rest were talking, the remaining people in the formation were also killed. Seeing the people who attacked were all killed, everyone's expressions relaxed. A strong emotion rose up. They did not expect that in the end it would actually be such a result. Junior brother Mo, since the people from the various major factions have been killed, let's leave the Charm Fairy Palace. Seeing that Lu Tan and the rest were all killed, Gu Linxing did not want to continue to stay and prepared to rendezvous with Han Siluo and the rest. Hearing Gu Linxing's words, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed slightly. He said to Gu Linxing in a deep voice, "Senior brother Gu, you take everyone away first. I'll take care of some things and come back later." "Okay." Hearing Mo Qingyun say so, Gu Linxing did not ask any more and took everyone away first. Spirit Summoning Gate. After Gu Linxing and the rest left, Mo Qingyun cast the Spirit Summoning Gate and turned the surrounding remnant souls into ghosts. Lu Tan and the rest were all major star pinnacle powerhouses. Turning their remnant souls into ghosts was not a weak combat force. Even if the cultivation of these ghosts would weaken with the passage of time, they would also become Mo Qingyun's trump card in a short time. Very soon, ghosts emitting the aura of a major star came out of the Spirit Summoning Gate one after another. With these ghosts by my side, as long as I don't encounter a golden immortal powerhouse, I can be considered to have the power to protect myself. Looking at these ghosts with astonishing auras in front of him, Mo Qingyun revealed a pleasantly surprised smile, raising his hands and stamping his feet, gaining some confidence. About an hour later, all of the remnant souls in the surroundings had been transformed into ghostly creatures with frightening auras. Immediately, Mo Qingyun opened the 5 directions small pagoda and kept these ghosts inside. After doing all this, Mo Qingyun took out the Iron Blood token again and collected the blood essence of these divine race members. Since these divine race members had already been killed, their blood essence could not be wasted. Although the 3 realms immortal gathering this time was likely to end without any results, improving the test results was not a bad thing. In a short while, the blood essence of the surrounding divine race members was collected completely. Mo Qingyun also did not continue to stay. Since everything is taken care of, looks like it's time to leave the Iron Blood Realm abyss. Chapter 1409. Outside the Charming Fairy Palace. At this moment, figures came out of the Charming Fairy Palace and rushed towards Han Ci Luo and the others. Seeing these figures, Han Ci Luo and the others trembled and couldn't help but clench their fists. Junior brother Gu, how's the situation in the Charming Fairy Palace? Didn't you find junior brother Mo? Looking at Gu Linxing standing in front of her, Han Ci Luo asked about Mo Qingyun's situation with a serious expression. When Han Ci Luo asked about Mo Qingyun's situation, when the people from the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace saw that Mo Qingyun didn't come out with Gu Linxing, one of them sneered, "Senior brother Han, I see that Mo Qingyun from the Eternal South Immortal Palace didn't come out with Gu Linxing and the others. He's most likely dead. My condolences." Li Yenny, shut your dog mouth. Hearing Li Yenny's curses, Gu Linxing's face darkened and he roared at him. Gu Linxing, don't go overboard. Hearing Gu Linxing's roar, Li Yenny's face darkened and he looked like he was going to fight Gu Linxing. Seeing Li Yenny's actions, Gu Linxing rolled up his sleeves and walked towards Li Yenny, shouting, "What? You still want to fight me?" Under Gu Linxing's domineering aura, Li Yenny was infuriated, but he chose to keep quiet. He was very clear about Gu Linxing's strength. Even if there were 3 of him, he might not be Gu Linxing's match. If he fought with Gu Linxing, there would only be one outcome. He would be beaten to a pulp by Gu Linxing. Seeing Li Yenny's cowardice, the surrounding people were disappointed and looked down on Li Yenny. After all this time, it turned out that he was just a paper tiger who cowered when Gu Linxing made a move. After using his aura to pressure Li Yenny, Gu Linxing returned to Han Ci Luo and replied, "Everyone, don't worry. Junior brother Mo isn't in any danger. He has some things to deal with, so he didn't come out with us. I believe he will come out soon." After the battle with Mo Qingyun, Gu Linxing's trust in Mo Qingyun had reached an unprecedented level. He did not believe that Mo Qingyun would encounter any danger if he stayed alone in the Charming Fairy Pavilion. That's good, that's good. After listening to Gu Linxing's story, Han Ci Luo's expression relaxed, and her heart that had been hanging in the air relaxed. After a while, under Han Ci Luo and the others' gazes, Mo Qingyun finally came out of the Charming Fairy Palace. Junior brother Mo had come out. Seeing Mo Qingyun come out of the Charming Fairy Palace, Han Si Luo and the others were overjoyed and hurriedly went up to greet Mo Qingyun. Han Si Luo's current actions were to prevent the people from the various factions from launching a sneak attack when Mo Qingyun left the charming fairy palace. After Gu Linxing came out of the charming fairy palace, he had already told Han Si Luo about Mo Qingyun's deeds in the charming fairy palace through voice transmission. After learning about Mo Qingyun's deeds, Han Si Luo was quite frightened and worried that the various factions would also know about it. Fortunately, from the reactions of the various factions, they did not know about what had happened in the charming fairy palace. Greetings, senior brothers and sisters. Seeing Han Si Luo and the others welcoming him, Mo Qingyun was touched and hurriedly bowed to everyone. No need to be so polite. Han Si Luo smiled faintly and nodded at Mo Qingyun's bow. She waved her hand at Mo Qingyun and said, "It's not suitable to talk here. Let's go back to the camp first." Okay. Everyone nodded and quickly returned to the Immortal Camp. Seeing the people of the Eternal South Immortal Palace leave, the various factions' expressions were uncertain and an inexplicable anger arose in them. They were very puzzled. The people of the Eternal South Immortal Palace had all come out, but why were there no movements from their own factions? Sect Master, our faction's people have not come out yet. Could they have met with misfortune? After an unknown period of time, an untimely voice suddenly entered everyone's ears. Hearing this voice, everyone's body trembled and looked at this person with dark eyes. Although everyone had the same thought in their hearts, they all tacitly chose to remain silent and did not want to accept this reality. This person actually poked everyone's sore spot with his word. He really did not know what was good for him. You're courting death. After a constellation stage powerhouse glared at that person, he killed him with a palm strike. Seeing that the person who spoke nonsense was killed, everyone's expression improved a little and turned to look at the charming fairy palace again. Next, the various factions' people continued to wait for their own factions' people to appear. After a few hours, a figure came out of the charming fairy palace and rushed to the Immortal Camp with a dark expression. Seeing this figure appear, Commander Namon and the others trembled. Shock filled their faces as they asked, "Fifth Prince, how did you get injured?" "My injuries were caused by activating the Blood Dragon Sky-Crossing Bridge, and received a backlash from it." The Fifth Prince's voice was weak as he replied. When the Fifth Prince left the formation, he was prepared to leave the charming fairy palace. Unexpectedly, the Blood Dragon Sky-Crossing Bridge actually backfired on him and caused him to suffer heavy injuries. Helpless, he could only find a place to heal. Thus, he only left the charming fairy palace now. Commander Naiming and the others knew about the Fifth Prince's treasure, the Blood Dragon Sky-Crossing Bridge. It was a treasure with a strong evil aura. The treasure's weapon spirit was extremely violent. The slightest carelessness could cause it to backfire. Hearing the Fifth Prince say that his injuries were caused by the Blood Dragon Sky-Crossing Bridge, Naiming and the others did not doubt it. However, what made Commander Naiming curious was who forced the Fifth Prince to activate the Blood Dragon Sky-Crossing Bridge. This person's strength must be extremely terrifying. After calming down the shock in his heart, Commander Naiming revealed a grave expression and asked the Fifth Prince, "Your Highness, why didn't the soldiers who followed you into the charming fairy palace come out with you?" Seeing Naiming ask about the soldiers, the Fifth Prince's expression immediately became vicious. He said through gritted teeth, "They are all dead. They were all killed by Mo Qingyun." "What? They were all dead?" Naiming and the others shuddered. They were greatly shocked by the Fifth Prince's words. They were unable to accept this result. That was a powerful formation composed of several hundred major astral experts and thousands of minor astral experts. For the divines, such a force was a force that could not be ignored. Now they were all dead. This result was far too unexpected and sudden. Of course, what shocked Commander Naiming and the others the most was that the person behind all this was actually Mo Qingyun. However, before Niming and the others could recover from their shock, the fifth prince's following words completely stunned them. The fifth prince suppressed his anger and said gloomily, "If I had not activated the Blood Dragon sky-crossing bridge, I would not have been able to return alive." Commander Niming and the others were stunned. They felt like their brains were not enough to process this. Chapter 1410. In the Charm Fairy Palace, not only were our divine soldiers killed by Mo Qingyun, but even the immortals were all killed by him. As if worried that Commander Namon and the others weren't shocked enough, the fifth prince paused for a moment and then said something shocking. Even the immortals were killed. Commander Namon and the others' heads buzzed. They felt like their brains weren't enough to process this. What the hell was going on? Wasn't Mo Qingyun a disciple of an immortal sect? Why was he crazily slaughtering immortals? Had he gone mad? At this moment, Commander Namon and the others were very confused. They were stunned by Mo Qingyun's actions. This Mo Qingyun is too ruthless. In my opinion, it's best we don't provoke him in the future. Mo Qingyun has a powerful bloodline. Perhaps he really is from a powerful race. That's right. Only those powerful races would treat our lives and those of the immortals like dirt. I think we should investigate Mo Qingyun's background more carefully, Mo Qingyun said. That's right. If we don't thoroughly investigate Mo Qingyun's background, it's best we don't provoke him. At this moment, Mo Qingyun was labeled as extremely dangerous in the minds of the divine race. Oh right, although we can't deal with Mo Qingyun, we can have the immortals do it. At this moment, a constellation stage expert beside Namon smiled sinisterly. Say, if the immortals know that their people were killed by Mo Qingyun, what do you think they'll do? Namon and the others' eyes lit up. This was a good idea. If nothing goes wrong, the immortals will definitely go crazy and crazily take revenge on Mo Qingyun. Namon smiled brightly with anticipation. When the time comes, if Mo Qingyun is killed by the immortals, that'll naturally be the best result. It'll save us the trouble. If Mo Qingyun isn't killed by the immortals, we can also use the immortals to test Mo Qingyun's strength. Thinking up to here, Namon didn't hesitate any longer. He turned to look at the people from the various powers and said in a clear voice, "There's no need for all of you to continue waiting like idiots. Mo Qingyun has already killed all the people you sent into the palace of the charmed fairies. It's impossible for them to leave." What? Our people were all killed by Mo Qingyun? Hearing Commander Namon's words, the people from the various forces were shocked. They were caught off guard by this news. They had thought of many possibilities, but they had never thought that their people would be killed by Mo Qingyun. If Mo Qingyun really dared to do so, then he was too bold. Everyone, do you think this is a scheme of the immortals? We can't rule out this possibility, but we have to keep an eye on the situation, the immortals said. Since that's the case, we'll leave some people behind and continue to wait here. The others will go back and confront Mo Qingyun. Okay, it's decided. Everyone, split up immediately. After the people of the major factions finished their discussion, they immediately split up. When part of the major factions returned to the camp, Mo Qingyun and the others had already returned. Junior brother Mo, you killed the people of the immortals' major factions. I'm afraid they won't let you off easily. You'd better leave the Iron and Blood Realm Abyss immediately. Returning to the camp, Han Siluo had a grave expression as he warned Mo Qingyun. Hearing Han Siluo's words, Mo Qingyun frowned and said in a deep voice, "Senior brother Han, this matter is of great importance. You guys should also leave with me so that you won't be implicated when the time comes." "No, we can't leave." Han Siluo shook his head at Mo Qingyun's suggestion and said with a firm and helpless expression, "If we also leave, it's tantamount to confessing to the major factions without being pressed, indicating that we're absconding in fear of punishment." Hearing Han Siluo's analysis, Mo Qingyun and the others nodded one after another, feeling that Han Siluo was right. If Mo Qingyun and the others were not guilty, why would they evacuate collectively? Seeing that Han Siluo insisted on staying, Mo Qingyun did not persuade anymore. He stood up and said in a deep voice, "In that case, we won't stay any longer. Senior brother Chen Qing, let's go." After saying goodbye to Han Siluo and the others, Mo Qingyun stood up and called for Chen Qing and the others to leave together. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was about to leave, Chen Qing and the others all stood up and followed Mo Qingyun out of the tent. I hope junior brother Mo can return to the Eternal South Immortal Palace as soon as possible and not cause any trouble on the way. Looking at Mo Qingyun's back as he gradually walked away, Gu Linxing's expression was solemn as he silently hoped in his heart. This matter is of great importance. I'm afraid it won't end well. Hearing Gu Linxing's words, Han Siluo sighed and said, "Although the major factions don't have evidence to prove that junior brother Mo killed their people, they will definitely take this opportunity to ruthlessly suppress the Eternal South Immortal Palace." Gu Linxing and the others were silent and agreed with Han Siluo's analysis. Han Siluo pondered for a moment and said, "All this time, the East Dawn Immortal Palace and the Ling Shuang Immortal Palace have been trying all kinds of ways to eliminate the Eternal South Immortal Palace. They definitely won't let go of this opportunity. I hope the Immortal Palace can survive this crisis." Hearing Han Siluo's words, the expressions of Gu Linxing and the others became even more solemn as they secretly prayed that nothing would happen. "Alright, junior brother Mo and the others have already gone far. Let's go back to the tent." Seeing Mo Qingyun's figure disappear, Han Siluo said to everyone and turned to walk back to the tent. A few hours later, under the flight of Mo Qingyun and the others, they left the Iron and Blood Realm Abyss. Coming out of the Iron and Blood Realm Abyss, Mo Qingyun saw Shi Tongqing and the others guarding the entrance of the Iron and Blood Realm Abyss. "Qingyun, you're back." Seeing Mo Qingyun and the others come out, Shi Tongqing revealed a surprised smile and hurriedly went up to Mo Qingyun. Seeing Shi Tongqing and the others coming up to greet them, Mo Qingyun showed a respectful expression and bowed to Shi Tongqing and the others. "Since you've come out, take out the Iron and Blood token and test the assessment results." Seeing Mo Qingyun and the others come out first, Li Chang showed an unhappy expression and urged in a gloomy tone. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun did not say much and just smiled meaningfully. Then, Mo Qingyun walked to Li Chang and the others and handed them the Iron and Blood token. "What do you think Mo Qingyun's assessment results will be?" "In my opinion, it shouldn't be too ideal. He hasn't even broken through to the true immortal realm. Every time the Iron and Blood realm abyss experiences, disciples with good talent can break through to the true immortal realm. It seems that the number one genius of the Eternal South Immortal Palace is just an undeserved reputation." Seeing Mo Qingyun take out the Iron and Blood token, everyone whispered to each other with disdain and ridicule. Chapter 1411. On the leaderboard, Mo Qingyun, 3,856 Immortal Core Stage Celestials killed. As Mo Qingyun's results were tabulated, the leaderboard started to display the number of kills that he had. The first thing that was displayed was the number of Immortal Core Stage Celestials killed. Seeing the number of Immortal Core Stage Celestials killed, the crowd sneered and looked at Mo Qingyun with disdain. He really doesn't live up to his reputation. He only managed to kill a few Immortal Core Stage Celestials. In my opinion, this kid must be hiding somewhere and picking off lone Immortal Core Stage Celestials to kill. That must be it. Otherwise, how could his results be so bad in 3 months? Mockery appeared on everyone's faces as they continuously mocked Mo Qingyun. Old ancestor Shi Tongqing, it seems like the number one prodigy of the Eternal South Immortal Palace isn't doing well. Seeing Mo Qingyun's test results, Li Chang felt the same as everyone else. He couldn't help but make fun of Shi Tongqing. However, before Li Chang could finish his sentence, his expression became unnatural. That was because the number of immortal infant stage celestials killed by Mo Qingyun had been tabulated. On the leaderboard, Mo Qingyun, 3,856 immortal core stage celestials killed. The number of immortal infant stage deities killed was 13,255. More than 13,000? Seeing the numbers on the leaderboard, Li Chang and the rest were stunned. They couldn't believe that it was real. The number of immortal infant stage celestials killed by Mo Qingyun was 4 times more than the number of immortal core stage celestials killed by him. Logically speaking, the higher the cultivation of the celestials, the more difficult it would be to kill them. Now, Mo Qingyun's situation was reversed. It didn't make sense. Palace Master Li Chang, it seems like you don't know my disciple well enough. He is not interested in celestials with low cultivation. Seeing Mo Qingyun's assessment results, Shi Tongqing was stunned for a moment before replying to Li Chang with a faint smile. Hearing Shi Tongqing's words, Li Chang immediately smiled awkwardly and replied, "This time I was rash. I didn't expect Mo Qingyun to be aiming to kill immortal infant stage immortals." From Li Chang's point of view, the reason why Mo Qingyun could kill so many immortal infant stage gods race experts was probably because he was specifically killing immortal infant stage gods race experts. Thinking of this, a faint smile appeared on Li Chang's face again. Then, he sneered at Shi Tongqing and said, "However, if you only kill immortal infant stage cultivators, I'm afraid your final assessment results won't be too good." At this moment, Li Chang was only halfway through his sentence when he could no longer continue. That was because the number of divine clans Mo Qingyun had killed had been tabulated. On the ranking board, Mo Qingyun, 3,856 immortal core stage immortal race cultivators killed. The number of immortal infant stage deities killed was 13,255. 4,326 immortal infant stage cultivators killed. No. Impossible, this must be fake. Seeing Mo Qingyun's shocking assessment results, Li Chang was so shocked that his expression started to tremble. He lost his composure and said, "He's only at the immortal infant stage. No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to kill so many immortal infant stage cultivators." Hearing Li Chang's words, the surrounding people started to whisper to each other. They also thought that Mo Qingyun's assessment results were fake. Palace Master Li Chang is right. There must be a big problem with Mo Qingyun's assessment result. An immortal infant stage cultivator would find it difficult to survive against an immortal infant stage cultivator, let alone kill him. Look, Mo Qingyun even killed a lesser immortal infant stage cultivator. Seeing Mo Qingyun's assessment results, the people from the various forces were stunned. On the ranking board, Mo Qingyun, 3,856 immortal core stage immortal race cultivators killed. The number of immortal infant stage deities killed was 13,255. Number of star god race members killed, 3,326. He had killed 2,643 minor star god tribe members. 121 greater immortal infant stage cultivators killed. Qingyun, seeing Mo Qingyun's results, not only were Li Chang and the rest stunned, even Shi Tongqing was so shocked that his expression started to tremble. In Shi Tongqing's opinion, even if he were to kill the immortal infant stage cultivators, he would not be able to do much. However, he was a golden immortal stage cultivator, and not a heavenly immortal infant stage cultivator. Seeing Shi Tongqing's expression, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and replied calmly, "Those immortal infant stage cultivators were more arrogant. They insisted on breaking into the array that I set up. In the end, they were wiped out by me." Wiped out by him? Hearing Mo Qingyun's reply, Shi Tongqing and the rest smiled bitterly and did not know what to say. They did not know if they should say that Mo Qingyun was lucky or that the immortal infant stage cultivators were unlucky. According to Mo Qingyun's words, if there were enough immortal infant stage cultivators, his assessment results might have been even better. Just as Mo Qingyun and the rest were talking, on the side, Li Chang's expression suddenly turned cold. A crafty look appeared on his face as he questioned coldly, Mo Qingyun, we don't believe you. Given your current cultivation base, how could you kill so many true immortal realm gods? I hope you can give us a reasonable explanation. You have to give us a reasonable explanation. Otherwise, your assessment results will be invalid. When the people from the various forces heard this, they all agreed and doubted Mo Qingyun's achievements. Explanation? Looking at the expressions of Li Chang and the rest, Mo Qingyun curled his lips in disdain and asked, just now, when my assessment results were out, all of you made fun of my poor results. Now that my assessment results are too good, all of you are doubting it. According to what you said, no matter what my assessment results are, there will be some problems? You are twisting words and forcing logic. In the face of Mo Qingyun's questioning, Li Chang was speechless and could not refute Mo Qingyun's question. Mo Qingyun's words were indeed reasonable. However, even if Mo Qingyun was reasonable, it was impossible for them to back down. This was because anyone with a discerning eye could see that there was a problem with Mo Qingyun's assessment result. Under normal circumstances, the more immortal infant stage cultivators you kill, the better it would be. Li Chang replied with a sneer. He immediately changed the topic as his tone gradually turned cold. However, your current assessment results clearly contain a lot of false information. Therefore, we cannot rule out the possibility of you cheating. If you cannot give us an explanation, your assessment results can only be regarded as invalid. If it's invalid, then it's invalid. Since you can't afford to lose, don't make so many excuses. Mo Qingyun could not be clearer about what Li Chang and the others were thinking. He exposed them mercilessly. Chapter 14:12. There were two main reasons why Mo Qingyun was doing this. First, he rarely argued with Li Chang and the others. At the same time, he was not interested in the first place of the Three Realms Immortal Gathering. Second, he was worried that the people in the Ironblood Realm Abyss would spread the news that he had killed the people from the various factions. At that time, it would not be easy for them to leave. Therefore, it was best for them to leave as soon as possible before the matter was exposed. When they returned to the Eternal South Immortal Palace, it would not be easy for the various factions to seek revenge. Shi Tongqing was stunned when he heard this. He was very surprised by Mo Qingyun's actions. He did not expect Mo Qingyun to be so open-minded. However, it made sense when he thought about it. From the way Li Chang and the others made things difficult for him, it was probably impossible for Mo Qingyun to get first place in the Three Realms Immortal Gathering. If that was the case, why should they stay and continue to waste their breath on Li Chang and the others? Shi Tongqing laughed heartily after figuring out the crux of the matter. He patted Mo Qingyun's shoulder and praised, "Good disciple, you are right. There is indeed no meaning in arguing with a group of people who can't afford to lose. Instead, it will make us seem petty. In that case, let's return to the Eternal South Immortal Palace and let them play by themselves." After deciding not to argue about the first place of the Three Realms Immortal Gathering, Shi Tongqing reminded everyone and left with them. Li Chang and the others sneered as they watched Shi Tongqing and the others leave. Their expressions were smug. In their opinion, so what if Mo Qingyun's performance was outstanding? In the end, his assessment results were still cancelled. How satisfying! If not for Palace Master Li Chang's wisdom, Mo Qingyun would have gotten away with it this time. Palace Master Li Chang is wise. The Eternal South Immortal Palace suffered such a loss this time. They must be very indignant. It's not just indignant. Didn't you see that when they left just now, they were like rats crossing the street? At this moment, the people from the various forces were all sneering and mocking Mo Qingyun and the others. The smile on Li Chang's face grew even wider when he heard the words of the crowd. His complacent expression grew even denser as he said, "Everyone, since this time's Three Regions Immortal Gathering is hosted by my Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace, we will naturally uphold the principle of fairness and impartiality." Hearing Li Chang's words, the people of the major forces around him began to flatter him again. Looking at the flattering actions of the people around him, Li Chang smiled proudly and spread out his hands. "Everyone, since the people of the Eternal South Immortal Palace have come out, I believe that it won't be long before the people of our major forces also come out from the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss." 15 minutes passed. An hour passed. 2 hours passed. Even after 20 hours had passed, not a single person had come out. The expressions of Li Chang and the others turned ugly. At that moment, confusion arose in their hearts. They did not understand why such a situation would occur. Of course, while Li Chang and the others were puzzled, they were more worried. Because there were still several hours before the exit of the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss would close. If the people of their forces still did not come out, they would not be able to come out when the entrance of the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss closed. At this moment, under the anxious gazes of Li Chang and the others, a figure passed through the exit of the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss. Seeing someone come out of the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss, Li Chang and the others were pleasantly surprised, and their expressions became somewhat excited. Someone had finally returned from the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss. However, when Li Chang and the others saw the person's appearance, they immediately revealed disappointed expressions. "Who's sure, why are you here?" Looking at the person who came out of the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss, Li Chang's brows were tightly knitted together as he uttered a sentence of surprise. The Hu Shur in front of him was the deacon that the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace had sent into the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss to command the disciples of the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace to fight. Now that the deacon had suddenly returned, how could Li Chang not be surprised? After uttering a sentence of surprise, Li Chang's expression became solemn, and his tone was slightly displeased. "Hu Shur, why did you suddenly come back? Did something happen in the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss?" In Li Chang's view, if it were not for something happening in the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss, Hu Shur should not have returned personally. Hearing Li Chang's inquiry, Hu Shur swept a glance over the surrounding people, revealing a solemn expression as he said in a deep voice, replying to Palace Lord, "Something big has indeed happened in the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss. We suspect that the disciples sent by the various major forces to the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss were all killed by Mo Qingyun of the Eternal South Immortal Palace." "What? The people of our various major forces were all killed by Mo Qingyun?" Li Chang and the others' heads buzzed, greatly shocked by this news. This was too unexpected for them. At this moment, they seemed to suddenly understand why the people of their various major forces had not returned until now. It turned out that the people of their various major forces had all died at the hands of Mo Qingyun. "This damned Mo Qingyun, if this matter is true, this old man will absolutely not spare him." Thinking of the genius juniors in his sect all dying at the hands of Mo Qingyun, Li Chang's face instantly turned ashen. A horrifying killing intent emitted from Li Chang's body, impacting until the surrounding vegetation instantly burst apart. "Speak, what in the world is going on? What in the world happened in the Iron and Blood Boundary Abyss?" Li Chang said in a cold voice. "Yes." Hu Shur answered, sorted out the train of thought in his head, and started narrating to Li Chang. "Originally, we didn't take this Mo Qingyun too seriously. We only knew that he had a relationship with Martial Nephew Li Wenyue. Later, in order to vent anger for Martial Nephew Li Wenyue, junior apprentice brother Han Rong sent Mo Qingyun out to scout for information about the divine race." After hearing Hu Shur's words, the expressions of the people of the various major forces around immediately became somewhat strange. In their expressions, they all revealed some contempt and disdain, thinking that Han Rong was somewhat too much. Mo Qingyun entered the iron and blood boundary abyss to take part in the test. Han Rong actually sent him to scout for the enemy. This was clearly deliberately making things difficult. Seeing the expressions of the people around were not right, Li Chang's expression became somewhat gloomy, and he said unhappily, "Get to the point. What in the world happened later, to make Mo Qingyun kill the people of our various major forces?" "Yes." Hearing Li Chang's unhappy words, Hu Shi immediately nodded and answered, "About 2 months later, when everyone thought that Mo Qingyun was already dead, he suddenly returned. After Mo Qingyun returned, he took a strong stance and directly killed junior apprentice brother Han Rong and the others." Speaking of this, Hu Shi's expression gradually became cold and he said, "After learning that junior apprentice brother Han Rong and the others were killed, we prepared to find Mo Qingyun to settle the score. Who knew that at this time, an ancient inheritance palace would suddenly appear in the void, the enchantment fairy palace. Because there were many enchantment poisons outside the enchantment fairy palace, we could only send some immortal infant stage people in." Hu Shi narrated the course of events bit by bit to everyone. The more he spoke, the uglier his expression became. "Not long ago, when we were waiting for our disciples to return, we learned from the fifth prince of the divine race that the people of our various major forces had already been killed by Mo Qingyun in the enchantment fairy palace." Information from the divine race. Chapter 14:13. Although the god race's words can't be trusted, there's something fishy about this matter. Mo Qingyun is also a suspect. Li Chang pondered for a moment before voicing his thoughts. He didn't think that Mo Qingyun didn't have the ability to do so. That was because Mo Qingyun's test results had revealed a piece of information. If Mo Qingyun's test results were real, wouldn't that mean that he had the ability to kill the people of the major forces? If Mo Qingyun's test results are real. At this moment, Li Chang suddenly grasped the crux of the matter. His eyes widened as he exclaimed, "If Mo Qingyun's test results are real, doesn't that mean that Mo Qingyun really killed our disciples?" Hearing Li Chang's analysis, the crowd quietened down as if they had made a major discovery. If Mo Qingyun really killed our disciples, wouldn't we have sent our enemy away by letting Mo Qingyun leave? More importantly, when we sent Mo Qingyun off just now, we were still very happy. Damn it, I sent my enemy away and I'm still happy? When did I become such a fool? Damn it, we've made a mistake this time. We were fooled by a junior. At this moment, the people of the major forces were dumbfounded. They felt that they were really stupid just now. Their actions just now were because they were bought by someone else and they were counting the money for the other party. This kind of behavior couldn't be more stupid. Chase. We can't let Mo Qingyun and the others escape. They'll be in trouble when they return to the Eternal South Immortal Palace. Thinking that his disciples might have been killed by Mo Qingyun, Li Chang immediately showed an anxious expression. Then, Li Chang led the crowd to chase after Mo Qingyun. He wanted to stop Mo Qingyun and the others before Mo Qingyun left the Eastern Dawn Immortal Domain. Seeing that Li Chang was chasing after Mo Qingyun, the people of the major forces didn't hesitate and immediately followed Li Chang. A few hours later, under the pursuit of Li Chang and the others, they stopped in their tracks, each and every one of them revealing an unwilling expression. Mo Qingyun and the others had already left the Eastern Dawn Immortal Domain. Knowing that Mo Qingyun and the others had left, Li Chang and the others were unwilling, and a strong sense of frustration rose in their hearts. He had actually let Mo Qingyun and the others escape. That treacherous brat actually tricked all of us. He was clearly trying to provoke us earlier. That's right. If he obtains first place in the Three Realms Immortal Gathering, he won't be able to leave directly. He can run away, but he can't hide from the temple. In the future, we will go to the Eternal South Immortal Palace to settle the score. Now, let's go to the Iron Blood Realm Abyss and kill all the disciples of the Eternal South Immortal Palace. No. The Iron and Blood Realm Abyss is the battlefield of the deities and immortals. The soldiers inside cannot act rashly. Knowing that Emo Qingyun's group had already left, Li Chang and the rest were enraged, feeling indignant in their hearts. However, it was useless for them to be angry now. They could only take their time to come up with a plan. Everyone, don't be angry. Please follow me back to the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace, and we will discuss the countermeasures in detail. Looking at the angry crowd in front of him, Li Chang comforted them and turned to return to the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace. Hearing Li Chang's words, everyone looked at each other and left together with Li Chang. Now they were grasshoppers tied to the same boat, and they should deal with the Eternal South Immortal Palace together. Emo Qingyun, although you killed the disciples of the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace, you gave me a chance to destroy the Eternal South Immortal Palace. Thinking about how he had led the people of the major forces to the gate of the Eternal South Immortal Palace, Li Chang sneered. At this moment, he suddenly felt that the deaths of Li Wenla and the others were too worthwhile. After a few hours, Li Chang and the rest returned to the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace. However, the scene in front of them stunned them. The Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace had been reduced to ruins. How could this be? Seeing the scene in front of him, Li Chang was shocked and could not believe that this was real. A powerful existence like the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace had its mountain gate breached, and the entire sect turned into a mess. Now, just as Li Chang was about to explode with anger, several terrifying auras suddenly appeared. Then, Li Chang saw several familiar figures standing respectfully behind a few unfamiliar figures. Ancestor, what's going on? Looking at Li Rongning behind the crowd, Li Chang was agitated and hurriedly asked him. Hearing Li Chang's question, Li Rongning and the rest looked gloomy and sighed. Li Chang, this is Sacred Envoy Ko Kuan No. 7. From now on, the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace will submit to Sacred Envoy Ko Kuan No. 7. Ko Kuan No. 7? Could he be? Hearing Li Rongning's words, Li Chang and the rest were shocked and began to tremble. With their experience, they could guess the identity of Ko Kuan No. 7 after hearing Li Rongning's description. These people were from the Dark Demon Tribe. The Dark Demon Tribe that had disappeared for thousands of years had made a comeback. In this way, the peace of the entire wild continent would be broken again. After knowing the identity of Ko Kuan No. 7, Li Chang and the rest did not dare to act rashly. These people were not people they could offend. Greetings, Sacred Envoy. Even Li Rongning and the rest had submitted, so Li Chang and the rest naturally did not dare to resist. They all bowed to Ko Kuan No. 7 and the rest. What a joke! If they dared not submit, what they would face next would be a disaster. However, when they thought about how they had come back this time, they were prepared to seek revenge on Emo Qingyun. Now that such an unforeseen event had happened, Li Chang and the rest felt as disgusted as if they had swallowed a dead fly. Was there anything more aggrieved than this? Since you are willing to submit to the sacred tribe, then let go of your souls. Seeing the reaction of Li Chang and the rest, Ko Kuan No. 7 coldly ordered Li Chang and the rest. Yes. Under Ko Kuan No. 7's imposing aura, Li Chang and the rest revealed dejected expressions and released their souls one after another. Next, Ko Kuan No. 7 planted a soul imprint in Li Chang and the rest's souls. After Emo Qingyun and the rest left the entrance of the Iron and Blood Realm Abyss, they rushed back to the Eternal South Immortal Palace at full speed. Qingyun, you brat, have some guts, to actually kill the genius juniors of the various major factions. On the way back to the Eternal South Immortal Palace, Shi Tongqing already knew all about the matter of Qingyun massacring the people of the various major factions. Learning of Emo Qingyun's shocking action, Shi Tongqing's gaze toward Mo Qingyun involuntarily underwent a tremendous change. Mo Qingyun's boldness was too beyond his expectations. Of course, Shi Tongqing did not blame Mo Qingyun because of this. Instead, he praised Mo Qingyun even more. In Shi Tongqing's view, only Mo Qingyun possessed such boldness could he lead the Eternal South Immortal Palace to the peak. Seeing that Shi Tongqing was not angry because of this, Mo Qingyun could not help but relax, and the worry in his heart was completely put down. Chapter 14:14. A few days later, Mo Qingyun and the others finally returned to the Eternal South Immortal Palace at full speed. Standing in front of the Eternal South Immortal Palace, Missouri Qingyun and the others were shocked when they saw the state of the Eternal South Immortal Palace. More than half of the floating palaces in the Eternal South Immortal Palace had been shot down. The remaining floating palaces were also badly damaged and looked no different from ruins. What the hell is going on? Could it be that the major powers are attacking? Seeing the scene, Mo Qingyun and the others were shocked and quickly rushed into the Eternal South Immortal Palace. After a while, Mo Qingyun found Shi Yingfeng, Bai Jianying, and Bai Kang in Shi Yingfeng's residence. At this moment, Shi Yingfeng's face was very pale and he seemed to have suffered serious injuries. "Master, what happened to your injuries?" Seeing Shi Yingfeng's appearance, Mo Qingyun looked nervous and quickly walked to Shi Yingfeng. Mo Qingyun could sense that Shi Yingfeng's current injuries were extremely severe. Even his Joss flame golden body had been shattered. The incense golden body was the symbol of an expert in the golden immortal realm, just like the star position of an expert in the true immortal realm. If the incense golden body was damaged, it would affect the foundation of one's cultivation. In serious cases, it could even cause one's cultivation to decline and stop progressing forever. "Don't worry." Shi Yingfeng smiled comfortingly and signaled Mo Qingyun not to be nervous. He said, "Qingyun, I am completely relieved to see that you have returned safely." As soon as Shi Yingfeng finished speaking, his expression became serious and he changed the topic. "Shi Tongqing, the Eternal South Immortal Palace is no longer safe. Take Qingyun and leave immediately. Take him to the Imperial City of the Ancient Kingdom." "The Imperial City?" Hearing Shi Yingfeng's words, Mo Qingyun and Shi Tongqing were puzzled. They didn't understand what Shi Yingfeng meant. Looking at the puzzled Mo Qingyun and Bai Jianying sighed and said, "This is what happened. A few days ago, a group of terrifying deity tribes suddenly came and attacked our Eternal South Immortal Palace. If Tsanghe's cultivation had not broken through to the Golden Celestial Stage and allowed us to suppress them with the number of Golden Celestial Stage experts, I'm afraid we would have been killed by now." But even so, Ancestor Shi Yingfeng was still seriously injured in that battle, Bai Kang said dejectedly. "God race." Mo Qingyun and Shi Tongqing were startled by the sudden appearance of the enemy. In their opinion, the Eastern Dawn Immortal Palace should be the ones attacking the Eternal South Immortal Palace. While Mo Qingyun was still confused, a few terrifying auras suddenly descended and shrouded the entire Eternal South Immortal Palace. "They're here." Sensing the terrifying auras, Shi Yingfeng and the others were shocked. Their faces were instantly filled with panic. They didn't expect the enemy to arrive so soon. They were really unprepared. "Shi Tongqing, take Qingyun and leave immediately. We'll stop these people." Knowing that the enemy had arrived, Shi Yingfeng looked anxious and hurried to warn Shi Tongqing. Hearing Shi Yingfeng's warning, Shi Tongqing's expression froze. He gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, "Okay, I'll take Qingyun and leave now. You guys be careful." Seeing that Shi Tongqing was going to take him away, Mo Qingyun frowned and said, "Master, sect leader, if you can't defeat them later, you should choose to surrender to them. At least you can save your lives in this way. I'll find a way to save you in the future." "Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Shi Feng and the others were stunned for a moment. Then, they agreed to Mo Qingyun's suggestion. Immediately, Mo Qingyun and Shi Tongqing took the opportunity to leave the Eternal South Immortal Palace. However, Shi Feng and the others' idea was good, but the reality was very cruel. Before Mo Qingyun and Shi Tongqing could go far, their way was blocked by two figures with shocking auras. Judging from the auras of these two people, they were both powerhouses at the golden celestial stage. Their cultivation was even stronger than Shi Tongqing's. Blocked by these two people, Mo Qingyun and Shi Tongqing had no chance to escape. Helpless, Mo Qingyun and Shi Tongqing had to retreat and come back to Shi Feng and the others. When Mo Qingyun and the others met up, these people who were attacking the Eternal South Immortal Palace came to Mo Qingyun and the others. 6 powerhouses at the golden celestial stage. Sensing the auras of these people, Shi Feng and the others turned pale, and a sense of despair rose in their hearts. In the face of so many powerhouses at the golden celestial stage, even if Shi Feng and the others were not injured, they were still no match for them. Seeing this, Shi Feng and the others tensed up and guarded against the attacks of these people. However, Shi Feng and the others were a little relieved that these people did not pay attention to Mo Qingyun, who was next to them. Presumably, in these people's eyes, a little ant at the immortal infant stage was not qualified to attract their attention. Seeing that they ignored him, Mo Qingyun quietly stepped back and slowly distanced himself from them. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, these people didn't pay any attention to him. It was as if Mo Qingyun was transparent. Their reaction made Mo Qingyun a little unhappy, but it also made him feel a little relieved. If they really wanted to kill him, even with the help of the God Shooter Bow, he would be in a very dangerous situation. Hidden door. After a short while, Mo Qingyun saw that it was about time, so he used the hidden door. Then, Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared. Even his aura disappeared from their senses. Mo Qingyun's sudden disappearance surprised the 6 people, and they were a little surprised. A brat at the immortal infant stage had actually escaped from their senses without making a sound. This was a little surprising to them. However, they did not pay attention to it and soon ignored Mo Qingyun. In their eyes, a guy at the immortal infant stage, no matter how strange he was nothing. After Mo Qingyun used the concealment door and concealed himself, he didn't leave immediately. Instead, he stood to the side and observed silently. Then, under the gaze of Mo Qingyun, Shi Feng and the others chose his suggestion and submitted to him. After a while, seeing that Shi Feng and the others had kept their lives, Mo Qingyun was completely relieved. Although Shi Feng and the others had to submit to him from now on, it was a good result for them to keep their lives. Seeing that Shi Feng and the others had kept their lives, Mo Qingyun did not stay any longer and quietly left Shi Feng's residence. After leaving Shi Feng's residence, Mo Qingyun went directly to Qin Yun's residence to check on Ghost Moon and Ghost Moon. After an hour, Mo Qingyun came to Qin Yun's residence and saw that it had been turned into ruins. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun was nervous and immediately looked for Ghost Moon and Ghost Moon in the ruins. After searching for a while, Mo Qingyun was stunned. He did not find Ghost Moon and Ghost Moon. This meant that during the destruction of Qin Yun's residence, Ghost Moon and Ghost Moon might have been killed by him. Chapter 14-15. I wonder how Senior Brother Ji and the others are doing? Seeing that he couldn't find the 2 girls, Mo Qingyun didn't stay any longer and immediately went to find them. Seeing that Ghost Moon and Ghost Moon had been killed, Mo Qingyun silently prayed, hoping that Jizhua and Ghost Moon would be safe. Soon, Mo Qingyun arrived at Jizhua's mansion, as if he was walking on a familiar road. When he arrived at Ji-Mo's small courtyard, Mo Qingyun saw Ji-Mo and Qian Guangxuan in a pavilion. Although the 2 of them did not look too good, they were not seriously injured. They should have suffered some minor injuries. After learning about the current situation of Jijua and Emo Qinyun was finally relieved. Senior Brother Ji, Senior Brother Qian. Once Emo Qinyun walked into the mansion, he slowly showed his silhouette and greeted Jijua and the other man. Seeing Emo Qinyun appear, Gmo and Qian Guangsuan were pleasantly surprised. They excitedly greeted Emo Qinyun and said, "Junior Brother Emo, you're finally back. If you didn't come back, Ghost Moon's happiness would have been ruined." Ghost Moon's happiness would be ruined? Hearing the two's words, Emo Qinyun was stunned and a strong sense of doubt rose in his heart. Weren't Ghost Moon and Chu Yunyun dead? Why did GMO say that her happiness would be ruined? Could it be that Ghost Moon and Chu Yunyun are still alive? Emo Qinyun thought. Seeing Emo Qinyun's puzzled face, GMO asked Emo Qinyun to sit down. Then, he explained to Emo Qinyun, "Junior Brother Emo, not long after you participated in the Three Realms Immortal Gathering, 100 Faces Golden Peak asked the elders of 100 Faces Clan to arrange a marriage between 100 Faces Clan and Ghost Moon Clan. And the marriage between the two clans is between 100 Faces Golden Peak and Ghost Moon." Qian Guangsuan added, "100 Faces Golden Peak wants to arrange a marriage with Ghost Moon?" Hearing the two's explanation, Emo Qinyun was stunned. He was very surprised by this news. However, after being stunned for a short while, Emo Qinyun showed a bright smile and his mood improved a lot. If that was the case, then Ghost Moon was still alive. Seeing that Emo Qinyun still had a bright smile on his face after knowing that Ghost Moon was going to marry him, both Jijua and Jiyu were confused. In the eyes of Jijua and Jiyu, Emo Qinyun's reaction was way too abnormal. Could it be that Emo Qinyun wasn't angry at all when he found out about Ghost Moon's marriage? Jijua and Emo Qinyun didn't know that Emo Qinyun had thought that Ghost Moon was dead. Now that he knew that Ghost Moon was still alive, how could he not be happy? Although Jijua didn't know why Emo Qinyun would laugh, he pondered for a while, then continued to talk to Emo Qinyun. "Qinyun, Chu Yunyun asked us to tell you that you should go to the Chu family as soon as you come back. She will tell you more details." Yunyun is in the Chu family. Hearing Jijua and Emo Qinyun's words, Emo Qinyun paused for a second, then showed a surprised look. If that was the case, then Chu Yunyun was still alive. Seeing Emo Qinyun's reaction, Jijua and Qian Yu were even more confused. They murmured, "Could it be that Qin Yun likes Yunyun? Otherwise, why would he be so happy when he heard that Yunyun was waiting for him in the Chu family?" Then, Jijua and Qian Guangsuan glanced at each other, immediately understanding each other's thoughts. From the looks of it, Emo Qinyun might like Chu Yunyun. After that, Emo Qinyun talked with Jijua and Qian Yu for a while, then left the Eternal South Immortal Palace. After leaving the Eternal South Immortal Palace, Missouri Qinyun headed straight to the Chu family, following the route that Jijua and Qian Guangsuan had told him. The Chu family was a relatively weak family, located in a remote area of the Eternal South Immortal Realm, and was quite far from the Eternal South Immortal Palace. In order to save time, Emo Qinyun summoned the golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle and rode it to the Chu family. In a secluded courtyard in the Chu family. "Qinyun, when did you come?" Chu Yunyun rested her chin on her hands and murmured Emo Qinyun's name with a longing expression on her face. While Chu Yunyun was in a daze, a woman in green slowly approached her with a few maids. "Sister Yunyun, what are you thinking about? Why are you so absorbed in your thoughts?" The woman in green asked with a faint smile. "Sister Chu Jiao, it's you." Seeing the woman in green in front of her, Chu Yunyun was surprised to see her. This woman named Chu Jiao had a high status in the Chu family, and she was the daughter of the current head of the Chu family. She didn't remember being close to Chu Jiao. To be exact, they hadn't spoken more than 3 sentences to each other. "Sister Chu Jiao, what can I do for you?" Chu Yunyun revealed a puzzled expression and directly asked the other party's intention. Hearing Chu Yunyun's words, Chu Jiao pursed her lips and pretended to be unhappy. She smiled and said, Sister Yunyun, what are you saying? Can't I come to visit you if there's nothing important? No. That's not what I meant. Chu Yunyun was embarrassed and hurriedly explained. Sister Yunyun, I'm just joking with you. You don't have to take it so seriously. Seeing Chu Yunyun's embarrassed expression, Chu Jiao immediately laughed and teased Chu Yunyun. Seeing Chu Jiao's actions, Chu Yunyun's expression became even more awkward. She didn't know how to communicate with Chu Jiao. Look at my memory. Chu Jiao slapped her head and pretended to cry out in surprise. She put on a pleading expression and said, Sister Yunyun, I suddenly remembered something. I need you to help me with something. What is it? Chu Yunyun's expression changed and a trace of coldness appeared between her brows. She didn't want to have anything to do with Chu Jiao. Hearing Chu Yunyun's question, Chu Jiao pursed her lips and smiled slyly. Sister Yunyun, you should have heard that I'm marrying into Non-Hasidi's Tong family in a few At that time, I want you to be my bridesmaid. I hope you can agree. Bridesmaid? Chu Yunyun's expression froze. She was dumbfounded by Chu Jiao's request. She really had no experience in such matters. Furthermore, she was currently worrying about Ghost Moon. How could she have the time to care about Chu Jiao's matters? Thinking of this, Chu Yunyun revealed an apologetic expression and shook her head at Chu Jiao. Sister Chu Jiao, I have some matters to attend to recently. I'm afraid I can't agree to your request. Hearing Chu Yunyun's rejection, Chu Jiao's expression clearly turned cold and showed some displeasure. However, Chu Jiao soon suppressed her displeasure and pleaded to Chu Yunyun again. Little sister Yunyun, my good little sister, please agree to this big sister's request. Could it be that you're willing to watch this big sister get married without even having a bridesmaid? At this moment, just as Chu Yunyun was about to reject her again, a stalwart middle-aged man walked over. Seeing the middle-aged man walk over, Chu Jiao's expression immediately lit up. She quickly walked over to the middle-aged man and said coquettishly, Father, why are you here? Yunyun greets the master. Seeing the middle-aged man walk over, Chu Yunyun revealed a respectful expression and hurriedly bowed to him. Jiao is here too. Seeing the approaching Chu Jiao, the master of the Chu family, Chu Qingsong faintly smiled and said, I'm here to tell Yunyun that the marriage between the Ghost Moon family and the 100 Change family will be held in 3 days. Tomorrow we will be leaving for the 100 Change family. Let her prepare well today. 3 days later? Qin Yun, can you make it? Chapter 14-16. So that's how it is. Hearing Chu Qingsong's words, Chu Jiao immediately rolled her eyes. She looked at Chu Yunyun and pretended to be displeased as she said, Little sister Yunyun, you're too much. You're going to attend the wedding of the Ghost Moon family and the 100 Change family. Can't you be my bridesmaid once? Hearing Chu Jiao mention this again, Chu Yunyun could not help but be speechless. She did not know how to respond. Although she really didn't want to agree, she couldn't reject Chu Jiao's repeated requests. So Jiao came to find Yunyun to ask me to be her bridesmaid. After knowing Chu Jiao's intention, Chu Qingsong chuckled. He turned to Chu Yunyun and said, Yunyun, marriage is a big event in Jiao life. Since she wants you to be her bridesmaid, you should agree to her request. Hearing Chu Qingsong's persuasion, Chu Yunyun frowned. After struggling in her heart, she said, If that's the case, I'll agree to Sister Chu Jiao's request. Sister Yunyun, thank you. Seeing Chu Yunyun agree to her request, Chu Jiao's face immediately lit up. She quickly thanked Chu Yunyun. After that, Chu Jiao did not stay any longer and left Chu Yunyun's residence. When Chu Jiao left Chu Yunyun's residence, she had a sinister smile on her face, as if her evil plan had succeeded. However, Chu Yunyun did not notice Chu Jiao's action. Not long after Chu Jiao left, Chu Qingsong gave Chu Yunyun a few more words before leaving Chu Yunyun's residence. Seeing Chu Qingsong and Chu Yunyun leave, Chu Yunyun could not help but sigh. Her face revealed a helpless expression. If not for Chu Qingsong's help in finding out about Ghost Moon's marriage and bringing her to Ghost Moon's wedding, she really did not want to agree to Chu Jiao's request. Chu Yunyun sighed. She once again revealed a longing expression as she thought of the days when she was with Mo Qingyun. When she was with Mo Qingyun, she was practically carefree. Mo Qingyun would take care of all the problems. Now that Mo Qingyun was not around, her and Ghost Moon's situation could be said to be like walking on thin ice. Qingyun, hurry up and come back. Otherwise, Gui Yu will really marry the 100 transformation Golden Peak. Chu Yunyun rested her chin on her hand again as she looked into the distance with an expectant expression. In the following period of time, Chu Yunyun continued to wait as time passed by. After an unknown period of time, a luxuriously dressed young man walked over with a bright smile on his face. Miss Yunyun. Seeing Chu Yunyun in the small courtyard, the young man smiled in a gentlemanly manner and greeted Chu Yunyun. Hearing the words of the person behind her, Chu Yunyun immediately frowned, revealing an undetectable disgust. This youth was called Zhao Shi, the second son of Origin Bay City's Zhao family patriarch. The Zhao clan and the Chu clan were both large clans in Origin Bay City and had a good relationship with each other. As a result, the Chu clan and the Zhao clan had many marriages between them, and there were some in-laws between them. For example, Chu Qingsong's sister-in-law was Zhao Shi's second aunt. Because of this relationship, Zhao Shi often went in and out of the Chu family, and could be considered half a member of the Chu family. Ever since Zhao Shi saw Chu Yunyun a month ago, he had been constantly thinking about her. Because of this, Zhao Shi had specially asked his second aunt to arrange his marriage with Chu Yunyun. Later on, under Chu Yunyun's strong opposition, this matter was left unsettled. However, from Zhao Shi's current actions, it was clear that he had not given up on pursuing Chu Yunyun. Young Master Zhao. Chu Yunyun replied coldly. She no longer paid attention to Zhao Shi and continued to rest her chin on her hand as she looked into the distance. Seeing Chu Yunyun resting her chin on her hand, Zhao Shi's eyes immediately lit up, and he immediately froze on the spot. Beautiful, she was really too beautiful. Chu Yunyun's exquisite face now had a bit of worry, and she immediately had a delicate and pitiful charm. Seeing Chu Yunyun's expression, Zhao Shi's heart was immediately filled with tender affection. He wished he could pull Chu Yunyun into his arms and dote on her. At this moment, while Zhao Shi was admiring Chu Yunyun, a huge eagle landed in front of the Chu clan's residence. It's here. The eagle landed in front of the Chu clan's residence, and a young man in black jumped down from its back. He smiled faintly as he sized up the Chu clan's residence. This young man in black was Mo Qingyun, who had rushed to the Chu clan's residence. Young master, may I ask what brings you to the Chu clan's residence? Seeing Mo Qingyun standing in front of the residence, a steward of the Chu clan respectfully asked Mo Qingyun. He could see that the golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle behind Mo Qingyun was a true immortal realm demonic beast. A young man with a true immortal realm mount was not someone the Chu clan could provoke. He had to deal with him carefully. May I ask, is there a Miss Chu Yunyun in the residence? Hearing the steward's question, Mo Qingyun did not beat around the bush and directly asked about Chu Yunyun. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the steward's expression immediately trembled. He revealed a flattering smile and said, "So young master is here to find Miss Yunyun. I'll take you there right away." "Thank you, steward." Mo Qingyun nodded with a faint smile. Then, he waved at the golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle and said, "Go take a look around first. I'll summon you later." Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, the golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle nodded in response. Then, it flew away before Mo Qingyun's eyes. Seeing the golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle fly away, Mo Qingyun followed the steward into the Chu clan. Along the way, Mo Qingyun met many of the Chu clan's younger generation, which attracted their attention. Who is this young man? What a handsome appearance! His cultivation talent is so shocking. He's already at the immortal infant realm at such a young age. Could he be a disciple of a large sect? I wonder if he's married and has his own cultivation partner. What's wrong? Did you all get lustful just because he's handsome? Hee, aren't you the same? You still dare to make fun of him. When a young woman from the Chu clan saw the handsome Mo Qingyun, they all revealed expressions of adoration. For women from small clans like them, if their cultivation talent wasn't good enough, they basically didn't have the right to decide their own fate. Therefore, if they wanted to change their fates, they had to find a powerful cultivation partner. Otherwise, they would be used as a tool to strengthen their clans through marriage. Therefore, when they saw Mo Qingyun's handsome appearance and extraordinary talent, they immediately developed feelings of adoration. Speaking of which, these women's fates were really sad. Mo Qingyun didn't take the reactions of the people around him to heart. He followed the steward and walked forward. Seeing Mo Qingyun walking forward, some of the bolder women from the Chu clan quietly followed behind Mo Qingyun. After a while, Mo Qingyun arrived at Chu Yunyun's residence under the steward's lead. Walking into Chu Yunyun's residence, Mo Qingyun saw Chu Yunyun and said with a faint smile, "Yunyun, I'm here." Hearing Mo Qingyun's voice, Chu Yunyun's delicate body trembled. She quickly turned her head to look at Mo Qingyun. The moment Chu Yunyun turned her head, her fine black hair fluttered in the wind and slowly scattered on her back. At this moment, an immortal and otherworldly aura was emitted from Chu Yunyun's body. So beautiful! Chapter 14-17. Qingyun, you're here. Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of her, Chu Yunyun was instantly absent-minded, and a sweet smile appeared on her face. Mo Qingyun was finally here. After a brief moment of absent-mindedness, Chu Yunyun forgot to be reserved and directly pounced into Mo Qingyun's embrace. Seeing Chu Yunyun's action, Mo Qingyun could not help being stunned, somewhat surprised by Chu Yunyun's behavior. However, Mo Qingyun did not go in to stop Chu Yunyun's action either. Now that he saw that Chu Yunyun was fine, he did not want to fuss over these details either. But Mo Qingyun not fuss over it did not mean that others would not fuss over it too. Seeing Mo Qingyun and Chu Yunyun's intimate actions, Zhao Shi by the side could not take it anymore. His face instantly darkened and he shouted, "Boy, who are you? Let go of Miss Yunyun immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for not being courteous to you." Hearing Zhao Shi's words, Mo Qingyun's expression gradually turned cold. He glanced at Zhao Shi by the side and said, "Yunyun, you know him?" This insensible fellow interrupted his conversation with Chu Yunyun. He had to teach him a lesson. Considering that Zhao Shi might know Chu Yunyun, Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry to deal with Zhao Shi. He wanted to see how familiar Zhao Shi and Chu Yunyun were first, then decide the severity of Zhao Shi's punishment. Seeing Mo Qingyun inquire about Zhao Shi, Chu Yunyun pondered for a moment and said to Mo Qingyun in a deep voice, "He's the second son of the Zhao family's patriarch in Yuanwan City, young master Zhao Shi. At the same time, he's also the nephew of the patriarch's eldest sister-in-law. He can be considered half a member of the Chu family." Hearing Chu Yunyun's words, Mo Qingyun immediately had a clear understanding of Zhao Shi and Chu Yunyun's relationship. In this way, Chu Yunyun and Zhao Shi were not very familiar. To be precise, Chu Yunyun and Zhao Shi were not familiar or not, but whether Zhao Shi pestered Chu Yunyun or not. Since this was the case, Mo Qingyun did not need to have any misgivings about taking care of Zhao Shi. After he found out about Zhao Shi's identity, Mo Qingyun's expression became even colder and indifferent, and he said with displeasure, "Today, I've reunited with Yunyun once more, and my mood isn't bad right now. So long as you fuck off from Union's courtyard, I'll spare your life. You want me to get out of Union's courtyard? Spare my life? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhao Shi's expression froze. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. This unknown brat in front of him actually dared to act so pretentious in front of him. He could not tolerate this kind of thing. No matter what, he, Zhao Shi, was still considered a well-known figure in Origin Bay City. If he did not respond to such humiliation, he would not be able to survive in Source Bay City in the future. Brat, you've got guts. You actually dare to speak to me like this. Zhao Shi's expression gradually darkened. He glared angrily at Mo Qingyun and said arrogantly with his head held high, "Brat, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. On account of Miss Union's face, as long as you kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake, and promise not to pester Miss Union again, I'll also spare your life today." Hiss. Seeing Zhao Shi's actions, the steward who had brought Mo Qingyun here immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Zhao Shi was courting death. A person with a true immortal mount was not someone their Zhao family could provoke, much less someone Zhao Shi could offend. Thinking of Zhao Shi's relationship with the Chu family, the steward gave Zhao Shi a look and secretly tugged at the corner of Zhao Shi's clothes. He whispered, "Young Master Zhao Shi, this young master is an important guest of our Chu family. Can we just let this matter rest?" At this moment, the steward's words seemed to be pleading for Mo Qingyun, but he was actually giving Zhao Shi a way out. Unfortunately, Zhao Shi did not appreciate the steward's good intentions in the slightest. "Steward Xia, you also saw it just now. It was this kid who took the initiative to offend me. If I don't punish him, how will I survive in Yuanwan City in the future?" Zhao Shi shook off Steward Xia's hand and asked in a displeased tone. Seeing Zhao Shi's behavior, Steward Xia revealed an unbearable expression and no longer said anything to Zhao Shi. He knew that with Zhao Shi's current state of mind, Zhao Shi would not listen no matter what he said. Soon after, Steward Xia looked at Zhao Shi sympathetically, revealing a look that said, "Good luck to you." Presumably, in Steward Xia's opinion, once Zhao Shi angered Mo Qingyun, no one would be able to save him. "Kid, my patience is limited. Hurry up and kowtow and admit your mistake." Zhao Shi raised his head high with an overbearing look, not putting Mo Qingyun in his eyes at all. Seeing Zhao Shi's actions, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately turned cold and indifferent. He had the intention to kill Zhao Shi. Who would have thought that his politeness to Zhao Shi would actually be treated as a blessing? This could not be blamed on him. Seeing the change in Mo Qingyun's expression, Chu Yunyun immediately guessed his thoughts and persuaded, "Qingyun, Zhao Shi is the nephew of the eldest sister-in-law of the patriarch. Just teach him a lesson, don't take his life." Seeing Chu Yunyun pleading for Zhao Shi, Mo Qingyun's expression eased a little. He nodded and said, "Since you're pleading for him, I'll spare his life. Zhao Shi and that young master are arguing. I wonder if they will fight. If a fight were to break out, I wonder who would be the stronger one. It should be Zhao Shi who is stronger. He's ranked in the top 3 among the younger generation in Yuanwan City. I hope young Master Zhao Shi will be merciful and not hurt that young master." Seeing Zhao Shi and Mo Qingyun confronting each other, the surrounding young women of the Chu family immediately worried for Mo Qingyun. They did not know Mo Qingyun's background, so in their understanding, Zhao Shi should be stronger. Scram! Under the gazes of the crowd, Mo Qingyun angrily shouted at Zhao Shi, erupting with a terrifying aura. This aura spread out, turning into a huge ox shadow that domineeringly charged towards Zhao Shi. Trying to use aura to oppress me? Kid, you think too highly of yourself." Seeing Mo Qingyun using aura to oppress him, Zhao Shi disdainfully curled his lips, not even bothering to resist. Perhaps he thought that Mo Qingyun was at the same cultivation level as him, and could not use aura to injure him. However, there were many times when there was a huge gap between reality and imagination. Bang! Under the impact of Mo Qingyun's aura, Zhao Shi was immediately sent flying, crashing into a stone pillar behind him. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded, not daring to believe that this was real. In a situation where they were at the same cultivation level, Mo Qingyun had sent Zhao Shi flying with just his aura alone. Moments later, Zhao Shi miserably crawled to his feet, a sinister expression on his face as he glared at Mo Qingyun and roared, "Kid, since you insist on seeking death, I'll fulfill your wish. No matter who pleads for you today, I'll personally kill you." As soon as Zhao Shi finished speaking, his figure moved and charged towards Mo Qingyun. Seeing Zhao Shi attack Mo Qingyun, the expressions of the surrounding crowd froze, a feeling of worry rising in Mo Qingyun's heart. At this moment, Zhao Shi's attack wasn't the same as before. He didn't look down on Mo Qingyun. Chapter 1418. Immortal Technique, Wild Dragon in the Sky. Zhao Shi leapt into the air and arrived above Mo Qingyun in the blink of an eye, slashing down at Mo Qingyun with his sword. Under Zhao Shi's sword, a terrifying immortal spiritual force immediately gushed out from his long sword. Soon after, the celestial spiritual power transformed into the image of a dragon and charged towards Mo Qingyun with the force of a thunderbolt. That's a quasi-ancient immortal technique. I can't believe Zhao Shi actually succeeded in cultivating it. Even a true immortal realm expert would probably have to avoid this sword strike of Zhao Shi's. Zhao Shi is worthy of being ranked in the top 3 among the younger generation in Origin Bay City. That outsider gentleman is in danger. I hope he can withstand Zhao Shi's sword. Everyone was shocked by Zhao Shi's attack and couldn't help but break out in cold sweat for Mo Qingyun. Some people even closed their eyes, not wanting to see the scene of Mo Qingyun being seriously injured. Scram! Mo Qingyun remained motionless under everyone's gazes and only coldly shouted at Zhao Shi. As Mo Qingyun roared, his left eye flashed and an astonishing surge of soul force burst forth. As soon as the soul force emerged, it turned into soul chains and smashed into Zhao Shi's sea of consciousness. Attacked by the soul chains, Zhao Shi immediately let out a blood-curdling scream and flew backward. At the same time, the sword he'd slashed at Mo Qingyun also vanished into thin air. Zhao Shi fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned incomparably pale and his eyes became somewhat hollow. Seeing Zhao Shi like this, everyone immediately trembled in fright. They looked at Mo Qingyun with terrified expressions. Zhao Shi, who was at the peak of the immortal infant stage, was seriously injured with just a glance. What kind of strength was this? It seemed that even a true immortal wouldn't be so strong. Immediately, Mo Qingyun's image in everyone's hearts became 100 times greater. Scram! After sending Zhao Shi flying, Mo Qingyun looked at Zhao Shi with a cold expression and ordered him to scram out of Chu Yunyun's courtyard. Zhao Shi didn't dare to stay any longer after hearing Mo Qingyun's order. He left gloomily with a hateful expression. Seeing Zhao Shi leave gloomily, everyone seemed to wake up from a dream and confirmed that the scene in front of them was real. They really didn't expect the handsome young man in front of them to have such terrifying strength. Thump thump thump. At this moment, a group of people arrived at Chu Yunyun's courtyard while everyone was in awe. The leader was the head of the Chu family, Chu Qingsong. Manager Xia, what's going on? Chu Qingsong glanced at Chu Yunyun's eyes. Hearing Chu Qingsong's question, Manager Xia's expression trembled, and he hurriedly reported to Chu Qingsong. Just now, young Master Zhao Shi and this young master had some misunderstanding, and then at this point, Manager Xia paused and did not continue speaking. However, with Chu Qingsong and the others' intelligence, they could guess what had happened after seeing the surrounding situation and combining it with Manager Xia's words. Chu Qingsong's face darkened after guessing what had happened. He looked at Emo Qingyun angrily. Seeing that Chu Qingsong was about to get angry at Emo Qingyun, Manager Xia was so scared that his body trembled. He quickly shouted to Chu Qingsong, "Patriarch, this subordinate has something important to report. Patriarch, please come with me." When Manager Xia said this, he didn't forget to give Chu Qingsong a look, indicating that Chu Qingsong shouldn't get angry at Emo Qingyun. Seeing Manager Xia's abnormal behavior, Chu Qingsong frowned and faintly felt that something was wrong. Then, Chu Qingsong was careful and didn't immediately get angry at Emo Qingyun. He was prepared to listen to what Manager Xia had to say first. In his opinion, Manager Xia's abnormal behavior might be reminding him of something. Seeing that Chu Qingsong didn't get angry at Emo Qingyun, Manager Xia's expression immediately relaxed. He quickly went to Chu Qingsong's side and told him about Emo Qingyun's situation. The more he listened to Manager Xia, the more shocked Chu Qingsong was. The more he looked at Emo Qingyun, the more reverent he was. A person who had a true immortal realm mount had an extraordinary background. He wasn't someone the Chu clan could provoke. Chu Qingsong was the strongest person in the Chu clan, but he was only at the peak of the accumulative star realm. If the power behind Emo Qingyun wanted to take revenge on the Chu clan, it would definitely be a disaster for the Chu clan. Moreover, Emo Qingyun had just displayed the strength of a true immortal. Chu Qingsong might not be a match for Emo Qingyun. Thinking of this, Chu Qingsong let out a deep breath. A sense of fear rose in his heart. Fortunately, Manager Xia stopped him in time. Otherwise, he would have made a huge mistake and provoked a terrifying existence for the Chu clan. Haha, so little brother is Yunyun's friend. It's my fault for not treating you well. Knowing that Emo Qingyun wasn't simple, Chu Qingsong immediately changed his attitude and greeted Emo Qingyun warmly. Hearing Chu Qingsong's greeting, Emo Qingyun nodded politely and said, "I came uninvited. Sorry to disturb clan head Chu and everyone." Although Emo Qingyun didn't have any feelings for Chu Qingsong, he was still Chu Yunyun's clansman. Emo Qingyun would still treat him politely. Haha, it's fine. Chu Qingsong didn't care at all. He quickly waved his hand at Emo Qingyun and said, "Since you're here for Yunyun, we won't disturb you any longer." After Chu Qingsong spoke, he glanced at the people around him, indicating that they shouldn't get in the way. This Chu Qingsong knows his place. He's much better than Zhao Shi. Seeing Chu Qingsong's action, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and looked at Chu Qingsong with admiration. However, with Chu Qingsong's status as the clan head, it wasn't strange that he could think of this. If he couldn't even see this much, then he was too much of a failure. He wasn't fit to be the clan head. Seeing Chu Qingsong's hint, the people around him became angry and left Chu Yunyun's place. Looking at Emo Qingyun beside Chu Yunyun, the young women of the Chu clan all left with envy. Why didn't such a talented young man like them take a liking to them? After a while, Chu Qingsong and the others left. Only Emo Qingyun and Chu Yunyun were left in the courtyard. After everyone left, Emo Qingyun and Chu Yunyun stood together. The atmosphere became a bit awkward. Looking at Emo Qingyun before her and thinking about what she did just now, Chu Yunyun's face turned red. What she did just now was far too embarrassing. Chu Yunyun's appearance was already very beautiful. Now that she was mixed with a trace of shyness, she immediately gave people a lovely feeling. "How have you been?" Looking at Chu Yunyun with admiration, Emo Qingyun was the first to break the silence and asked about Chu Yunyun's situation. "I've been great." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Chu Yunyun gave a simple reply. Then, her expression darkened, "But Gui Yu isn't doing well. I haven't heard from her in a long time. I don't know how she's doing." Chapter 14-19. Don't worry, I'll make a trip to the Ghost Moon clan later to check on Ghost Moon's situation. Seeing the worried expression on Chu Yunyun's face, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly at her and said some words of comfort. Next, Mo Qingyun asked Chu Yunyun about Ghost Moon and her situation after he participated in the Three Realms Immortal Gathering. Chu Yunyun naturally wouldn't hide anything from Mo Qingyun and told him about the recent situation in detail. After listening to Chu Yunyun's explanation, Mo Qingyun finally knew the true purpose of the marriage between Ghost Moon and 100 Transformations Golden Peak. Originally, 100 Transformations Golden Peak didn't want to marry Ghost Moon because he fancied Ghost Moon, nor did he want the 100 Transformations clan to ally with the Ghost Moon clan. His true purpose of marrying Ghost Moon was to torture Ghost Moon in the future as a result of taking revenge on Mo Qingyun. Looks like I've harmed Ghost Moon. After understanding 100 Transformations Golden Peak's true purpose, Mo Qingyun showed a look of self-blame as he lamented. After that, Mo Qingyun's face turned cold and indifferent. Killing intent emanated from his body as he said, "Ever-changing Golden Peak, I wouldn't have bothered to make a fuss about this if you had known your place. However, since you insist on courting death, I can only fulfill your wish." At this moment, Mo Qingyun had made a decision in his heart. He was going to kill 100 Transformations Golden Peak during the wedding. After knowing Ghost Moon's situation, Mo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer and prepared to head to the Ghost Moon clan immediately. "Yunyun, I'll head to the Ghost Moon clan now. In a few days, we'll meet at the 100 Transformations clan." Mo Qingyun briefly explained his thoughts to Chu Yunyun, then summoned Iron Wing and said, "This is Iron Wing. I'll let him stay in the Chu clan to protect you. With Iron Wing's current cultivation, people below the Lesser Star Realm shouldn't be a threat to you. Master, don't worry. With me here, no one can even think of harming Miss Yunyun." Iron Wing was no stranger to Chu Yunyun. After all, Mo Qingyun had spent several months with Chu Yunyun in the Eternal South Immortal Palace. In the past few months, Iron Wing and the others had heard of Ghost Moon and Chu Yunyun, so he had some impression of Chu Yunyun. "Alright." After learning about Mo Qingyun's plan, Chu Yunyun nodded and agreed with Mo Qingyun's arrangement. After that, Mo Qingyun warned Chu Yunyun again before he prepared to leave the Chu family. Just as Mo Qingyun was about to leave the Chu family, several vicious and disgusting figures rushed into Chu Yunyun's courtyard. The person at the front of these figures was Zhao Shi, who had been beaten up by Mo Qingyun earlier. "You found help?" Looking at Zhao Shi and the others in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression was calm as he teased Zhao Shi. While Mo Qingyun was teasing Zhao Shi and the others, he also released his soul power to sense the cultivation of Zhao Shi's helpers. The cultivation of Zhao Shi's helpers was not high. Except for one person who was at the Profound Star Realm, the others were about the same as Zhao Shi. Zhao Shi and the others sized up Mo Qingyun. The man at the Profound Star Realm took a step forward and said, "Second brother, the one who injured you earlier, is it this kid?" "Yes, it's this kid." Hearing his big brother Zhao Jun's words, Zhao Shi smiled coldly and looked at Mo Qingyun with a smug expression, saying, "Kid, my big brother is the #1 genius of Origin Bay City. He has cultivated for less than 1,000 years and has broken through to the true immortal realm. Just wait to be killed by my big brother." Cultivated for 1,000 years and only reach the true immortal realm? Mo Qingyun's expression froze. He was very surprised by Zhao Jun's age. Breaking through to the true immortal realm at 1,000 years old. Could this be considered a genius? Was this worth showing off? One had to know that after Mo Qingyun's rebirth, he was only 30 years old at the very most. With this comparison, it could be seen how trashy Zhao Jun's aptitude was. I don't think so." After a simple glance at Zhao Jun, Mo Qingyun shook his head sympathetically and replied, "It's really unfortunate that he became your big brother. He was careless and was tricked by you." In Mo Qingyun's view, Zhao Jun coming to stand up for Zhao Shi was completely tricked. "Kid, what do you mean by that?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhao Jun showed an unhappy expression and questioned Mo Qingyun. From Mo Qingyun's words, he faintly felt a trace of contempt and disdain. This feeling made him very unhappy. At this moment, without waiting for Mo Qingyun to answer, Chu Qingsong and the others hurried over. Chu Qingsong came to Chu Yunyun's small courtyard and saw Mo Qingyun and the others confronting each other. He immediately showed an unhappy expression and shouted at Zhao Jun and the others, "Zhao Shi, you've come to my Chu family time and time again to cause trouble. Do you think I won't dare to teach you a lesson? And you, Zhao Jun, Zhao Shi has nothing to do all day. Why are you like him? Hurry up and take your men and leave immediately," Chu Qingsong said unhappily. He then gave Zhao Jun a look, indicating that he should take his men and leave immediately. Seeing Chu Qingsong's action, Zhao Jun couldn't help but frown. He roughly understood Chu Qingsong's meaning. Chu Qingsong was telling him that Mo Qingyun was not someone he could provoke. It was better to take his men and leave the Chu family as soon as possible. Although he saw Chu Qingsong's hint, Zhao Jun still felt a little unwilling to leave like this after coming so aggressively. For a moment, Zhao Jun hesitated, considering whether to teach Mo Qingyun a lesson or not. Patriarch Chu, in order to avoid any more trouble, let me handle this matter myself, Mo Qingyun said to Chu Qingsong. He glanced at Zhao Jun and said, "I'll give you 10 breaths of time to consider. If you want to stand up for Zhao Shi, come outside with me to fight." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he no longer paid attention to Zhao Jun and walked out of the Chu family's residence. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Zhao Jun was stunned for a moment. Then, he showed a cold expression and gritted his teeth. "Boy, I want to see how capable you are." After Zhao Jun finished speaking, he followed Mo Qingyun out of the Chu family's residence. "This is troublesome." Seeing Mo Qingyun and Zhao Jun go out together, Chu Qingsong's expression tensed up and a strong sense of worry rose in his heart. Firstly, he was worried that Zhao Jun would be seriously injured by Mo Qingyun in the fight later. At that time, it would be difficult for him to explain to the Zhao family. Secondly, he was more worried that Mo Qingyun would be injured by Zhao Jun in the fight later. If Mo Qingyun was injured and angered the power behind him, the Zhao family would not be the only one to suffer. Soon, Mo Qingyun, Zhao Jun, and the others, surrounded by the crowd, arrived outside the Chu family's residence. Seeing that Zhao Jun was about to fight with Mo Qingyun, some people near the Chu family's residence immediately surrounded them. "That's young Master Zhao Jun, look at him now, he seems to be about to fight with someone. A boy with immortal infant cultivation actually wants to fight young Master Zhao Jun. He must be tired of living. That boy seems to be from the Chu family. When did the Chu family have such a talent? Indeed, to have such cultivation at such a young age, he is also a genius. However, there is still a big gap between him and Zhao Jun." Chapter 1420. Brat, I didn't become the #1 genius of Source Bay City just because I said so. Zhao Jun showed a proud expression when he saw everyone's admiring gazes. He boasted about himself for a while before saying, "Now, I'll show you the power of the #1 genius of Source Bay City." Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sneer when he saw Zhao Jun's performance. He curled his lips and said, "Don't be so cocky. Otherwise, when I defeat you later, you won't have the face to see others because you overestimate yourself." Originally, I wanted to give you a chance to admit defeat out of respect for Patriarch Chu, but I've changed my mind. Zhao Jun snorted coldly when he heard Mo Qingyun's ridicule. He wasn't going to show mercy to Mo Qingyun. Zhao Jun didn't say anything else to Mo Qingyun and immediately attacked Mo Qingyun. Immortal technique, reincarnation ring of fire. The moment Zhao Jun made his move, he did not hold back in the slightest, displaying his most powerful technique. As Zhao Jun's hands moved, a surging flame quickly gathered in front of him. Not long after, the imposing flame turned into a huge ring of fire that emitted a terrifying flame energy. After the reincarnation ring of fire was formed, it circled around Mo Qingyun like a flaming dragon. Soon, Mo Qingyun was surrounded by the reincarnation ring of fire and was attacked repeatedly. Tentacle-like streams of flame quickly condensed on the reincarnation ring of fire and attacked Mo Qingyun from different angles. Facing the reincarnation ring of fire's attacks from all directions, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to be careless and quickly blocked the attacks. Raging Flame Shield. A flaming shield with an astonishing aura quickly formed around Mo Qingyun's body. After the Raging Flame Shield formed, the attacks from the reincarnation ring of fire were blocked by the Raging Flame Shield. After blocking the reincarnation ring of fire, Mo Qingyun didn't wait for death. He immediately took out the immortal burning battle halberd and attacked the reincarnation ring of fire. Heavenly Flames Sky-Breaking Halberd. Mo Qingyun brandished the immortal burning battle halberd, and a terrifying flame burst out, turning into a 100-meter-long dragon shadow halberd light. After the dragon shadow halberd light was formed, it began to bombard the reincarnation ring of fire around it, causing the reincarnation ring of fire to continuously sway. Looking at the state of the reincarnation flame ring, it seemed like it would not be able to withstand the heavy blow and would be destroyed by the dragon shadow halberd light. However, after the reincarnation ring of fire shook violently for a moment, a scene that surprised Mo Qingyun happened. The fire ring of samsara, which was about to collapse, changed its appearance several times and dissolved the impact of the immortal immolating battle halberd. Is this the second stage of the immortal technique, reincarnation ring of fire, myriad transformations? Seeing the changes in the reincarnation ring of fire, Chu Qingsong's face was filled with shock. He had long heard that Zhao Jun had found an ancient immortal art, the fire ring of reincarnation from an ancient ruin. It was rumored that there were 3 stages to the reincarnation ring of fire. The first stage was a sky full of fire shadows, the second stage was myriad transformations, and the third stage was everlasting. It was said that the second stage of the reincarnation ring of fire would be comparable to an ancient immortal art. Once the third stage of the reincarnation ring of fire was cultivated, it would be comparable to an ancient immortal art. Judging from the current power of the reincarnation ring of fire, it was basically comparable to an ancient immortal art. An ancient immortal art is so powerful that even a true immortal realm powerhouse can't resist it head-on. I'm afraid Mo Qingyun is in danger. Thinking of the second stage of the reincarnation ring of fire, Chu Qingsong's expression turned solemn. He sighed and said, "It's a pity that my cultivation isn't high enough. Otherwise, I can stop them from fighting." At this moment, Chu Qingsong wore a helpless expression and couldn't help but feel frustrated. He didn't expect that he, the #1 expert of the Chu clan, couldn't stop a fight between 2 juniors. While Chu Qingsong was feeling frustrated, Mo Qingyun continuously waved the immortal burning battle halberd in his hand, bombarding the reincarnation ring of fire around him. Under Mo Qingyun's domineering bombardment, the reincarnation ring of fire finally dissipated and turned into drifting flames. However, to Mo Qingyun's surprise, the drifting flames didn't dissipate. Instead, they quickly reformed. After a while, a new reincarnation ring of fire was formed and attacked Mo Qingyun, who was trapped in the middle. The third stage of the reincarnation ring of fire. Seeing the scattered reincarnation ring of fire reformed, Chu Qingsong's expression immediately trembled. He really didn't expect Zhao Jun to have cultivated the reincarnation ring of fire to the third stage. This Zhao Jun hid his strength well. Even I won't be a match for him now. Thinking about how he had been surpassed by a junior, Chu Qingsong revealed a dejected expression, and the frustration in his heart grew even more. He sighed inwardly. It seems that from this moment onwards, Zhao Jun is the #1 expert in Source Bay City. Kid, an ancient grade celestial technique isn't so easy to break. Just wait for your death. Zhao Jun smiled smugly when he saw the reincarnation ring of fire reformed. It was as though he was confident that he could defeat Mo Qingyun. It's too early to make a conclusion now. Mo Qingyun's expression was indifferent. He didn't show the slightest hint of panic. Devouring Gate. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his expression turned serious and he displayed the Devouring Gate. Since he couldn't disperse the reincarnation ring of fire, he would use the Devouring Gate to devour it and refine it directly. Soon after, a whirlpool-like gate of light quickly formed above Mo Qingyun. As soon as the Devouring Gate was formed, it emitted a terrifying suction force and sucked in the reincarnation ring of fire. As the Devouring Gate continued to absorb the reincarnation ring of fire, the reincarnation ring of fire became thinner and thinner before it slowly disappeared from the world. Zhao Jun was horrified when he saw this. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The ancient grade celestial technique, the reincarnation ring of fire, that he was so proud of, had been neutralized by Mo Qingyun just like that? What other tricks do you have? Just use them. Otherwise, you won't have a chance to make a move. After neutralizing the reincarnation ring of fire, Mo Qingyun smiled mockingly and turned to look at Zhao Jun. Zhao Jun's expression darkened when he heard Mo Qingyun's disdainful words. He said angrily, "Kid, although you've neutralized my celestial technique, the reincarnation ring of fire, it's impossible for you to defeat me. You're wrong. If I want to defeat you, I only need one look." Mo Qingyun shook his head and immediately rejected Zhao Jun's idea. His expression turned cold as he said, "It seems like you don't have any other tricks up your sleeve. If that's the case, the battle should be over." Spiritual prison. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his left eye shone brightly and a terrifying soul power burst out. Afterwards, the soul force turned into soul chains and slammed into Zhao Jun's sea of consciousness in a domineering manner. After being hit by Mo Qingyun's spiritual attack, Zhao Jun cried out in pain as blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. Chapter 14:21. Kneel! Mo Qingyun shouted angrily after knocking Zhao Jun out with a soul attack. He released his aura to suppress Zhao Jun. Under the suppression of Mo Qingyun's aura, Zhao Jun's knees went soft and he knelt down in front of Mo Qingyun. After seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. Zhao Jun, as the strongest person in Origin Bay City, was actually forced to kneel under Mo Qingyun's attack. If they hadn't seen this with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. Mo Qingyun's strength is so terrifying. Even with Zhao Jun's strength, he can't resist in front of him. Not only that, from the looks of the battle just now, Mo Qingyun seems to have defeated Zhao Jun with only one move. Where did this kid come from? His strength is actually terrifying to such an extent. In my opinion, even the geniuses of the Eternal South Immortal Palace are probably not as strong. While everyone was shocked by Mo Qingyun's strength, they also had a strong curiosity about Mo Qingyun's origin. Big brother lost. Looking at Zhao Jun kneeling in front of Mo Qingyun, Zhao Shi had a terrified expression on his face. His eyes were wide open and he couldn't believe it was true. He didn't expect that his invincible big brother would be defeated by Mo Qingyun in a fight with Mo Qingyun. After knowing how powerful Mo Qingyun was, Zhao Shi looked at Mo Qingyun with eyes full of horror. Then, Zhao Shi showed a terrified expression and prepared to sneak away from the crowd. "Zhao Shi, don't you care about your big brother's life or death?" Looking at Zhao Shi who was preparing to leave, Mo Qingyun turned his head with a cold expression and looked at him. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhao Shi immediately trembled and stood in place with a panicked expression, not knowing what to do. Mo Qingyun called out to Zhao Shi and waved his hand at Zhao Jun, sending him flying. Plop! Zhao Jun fell heavily to the ground, directly falling like a dog eating mud. Seeing Zhao Jun fall to the ground, Zhao Shi immediately ran towards him and helped him up. Big brother, are you alright? I'm fine. He turned his head to Emo Qingyun and said, Thank you for showing mercy. I have offended you this time. I apologize to you. Zhao Jun admitted defeat and even apologized to Emo Qingyun? Could it be that his brain was damaged? Seeing Zhao Jun's action, everyone's eyes widened. They felt that the scene before them was too fake. Zhao Jun, who had always been arrogant, actually had a day where he admitted defeat to others. It doesn't matter. Discipline your second brother well in the future so that you won't be tricked by him again. In response to Zhao Jun's admission of defeat, Emo Qingyun waved his hand with a faint smile, not taking it to heart at all. Hearing Emo Qingyun's reminder, Zhao Jun's face immediately darkened. He looked at Zhao Shi with displeasure. He knew very well what Emo Qingyun meant. If Emo Qingyun hadn't shown mercy, he wouldn't be able to stand here and speak now. And the person who caused all this was his second brother, Zhao Shi. In this way, Emo Qingyun's words weren't wrong. He had indeed been tricked by Zhao Shi. Come back with me. Zhao Jun cupped his hands at Emo Qingyun. He shouted angrily at Zhao Shi and left with the Zhao family. Seeing Zhao Jun and the others leave, Emo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. He said to Chu Qingsong, Patriarch Chu, I have to leave immediately. I'll have to trouble you to take care of Yunyun for me. Mr. Emo, don't worry. I will take good care of Yunyun. Hearing Emo Qingyun's request, Chu Qingsong didn't dare to hesitate at all. He immediately promised Emo Qingyun. Chu Qingsong's current thoughts were very simple. Judging from Emo Qingyun's talent, he would definitely not be simple in the future. If he wanted to build a relationship with Emo Qingyun, he had to start with Chu Yunyun. Therefore, it was necessary to take care of Chu Yunyun. Seeing Chu Qingsong's attitude, Emo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction. He then said goodbye to Chu Yunyun. Yunyun, I'll be leaving now. We'll meet again in a few days at the House of 100 Change. Chu Yunyun nodded. Then, Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate and summoned the golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle. Soon, a huge eagle flew above Emo Qingyun. A true immortal golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle. Seeing the golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle above Emo Qingyun, Chu Qingsong was shocked. His face began to twitch. He hadn't heard from Steward Xia that Emo Qingyun had a true immortal realm mount. Now that he saw Emo Qingyun had such a mount, his respect for Emo Qingyun immediately increased by several levels. It seemed that he had underestimated Emo Qingyun. Then, Emo Qingyun rode the golden-crowned snake-feathered eagle and left under everyone's gaze. Yunyun, what is the identity of this young Master Emo? Looking at Emo Qingyun who was gradually walking away, Chu Qingsong asked with a serious expression on his face. He then asked about Emo Qingyun's background. Hearing Chu Qingsong's question, Chu Yunyun didn't hide anything and answered truthfully, Qingyun, he is the personal disciple of the 3 patriarchs of the Eternal South Celestial Palace. The personal disciple of the 3 patriarchs of the Eternal South Celestial Palace. Hearing Chu Yunyun's words, Chu Qingsong was immediately shocked. His tongue and teeth began to chatter. He thought that since Emo Qingyun had such talent, his identity should be very unusual, but he didn't expect that Emo Qingyun's background would be so terrifying. After knowing Emo Qingyun's identity, Chu Qingsong's respect for Emo Qingyun immediately increased. After Emo Qingyun left Source Bay City, he went to the Ghost Moon Clan without stopping. About half a day later, with Emo Qingyun rushing, he arrived in front of the Ghost Moon Clan's mansion. The overall strength of the Ghost Moon Clan was much stronger than the Chu Clan. They had a major star-level powerhouse. Of course, this was nothing to Emo Qingyun. One had to know that Emo Qingyun had killed more than 100 major star-level powerhouses in the charming fairy palace. Stop, who are you? What business do you have with my Ghost Moon Clan? Seeing that Emo Qingyun was about to enter the Ghost Moon Clan, the guard of the Ghost Moon clan asked coldly. Hearing the guard's question, Emo-Chinyon stopped and said in a deep voice, "I am Ghost Moon's friend, please help me pass on a message." "Miss Ghost Moon's friend?" The servant frowned when he heard Emo-Chinyon's words. He cautiously studied Emo-Chinyon and said, "Apologies. The Patriarch has given strict orders that Miss Ghost Moon is not to see anyone while she's getting married. Please forgive me for not being able to pass on the message." "Not to see anyone?" Hearing the guard's words, Emo-Chinyon frowned and his face became cold. Immediately, Emo-Chinyon didn't want to talk nonsense with the guard and planned to directly barge into the Ghost Moon clan. "It's you." At this moment, just as Emo-Chinyon was about to barge in, a surprised voice entered his ears. Chapter 1422. Senior Han Ning. Seeing the familiar figure in front of him, Emo-Chinyon showed a respectful expression and cupped his hands. This figure was none other than Ghost Moon's great-grandmother, Sacred Emissary Han Ning. "Mr. Mo." Sacred Emissary Han Ning walked to Emo-Chinyon and bowed slightly to Emo-Chinyon. She had heard of Emo-Chinyon's current status, and had to treat him with respect. Immortal Infant Stage. Sensing Emo-Chinyon's aura, Sacred Emissary Han Ning was shocked by Emo-Chinyon's cultivation. Sacred Emissary Han Ning was very clear about Emo-Chinyon's cultivation before he entered the wild continent. He was only at the first level of the Sky Human stage. It had only been a year since then and Emo-Chinyon's cultivation had reached the Immortal Infant stage. This speed of improvement was insane. Of course, what shocked Sacred Emissary Han Ning the most was that Emo-Chinyon had become the personal disciple of Shi Tongqing and the other two. After greeting Emo-Chinyon, Sacred Emissary Han Ning made an inviting gesture and said, "Mr. Emo, please follow me to the mansion." "All right." Emo-Chinyon nodded and followed Sacred Emissary Han Ning into the Ghost Moon mansion. "Sacred Emissary Han Ning, can you bring me to see Ghost Moon?" Emo-Chinyon walked into the Ghost Moon manor. He didn't beat around the bush with Sacred Emissary Han Ning and got straight to the point. Hearing Emo-Chinyon's words, Sacred Emissary Han Ning frowned and said with a troubled expression, "Mr. Emo, it's not that I don't want to bring you to see Ghost Moon. It's just that Ghost Moon is not in the mansion right now. I can't help you even if I wanted to." "Ghost Moon is not in the mansion?" Emo-Chinyon's expression changed. He was very surprised by Sacred Emissary Han Ning's answer. Could Ghost Moon have secretly run away from the marriage? Just as Emo-Chinyon was guessing, Sacred Emissary Han Ning sighed and said, "The head of the family sent you heir to the House of 100 Change to prevent her from running away." "What? Ghost Moon is already in the House of 100 Changes?" With such a result, Emo-Chinyon's eyes narrowed slightly, and his expression immediately turned cold. The actions of the House Master of the Ghost Moon made him feel extremely dissatisfied and angry. From the looks of it, in order to facilitate this marriage, the Ghost Moon Patriarch had completely disregarded Ghost Moon's feelings. Then, a terrifying aura exploded from Emo-Chinyon's body. Thump thump thump. Under the impact of Emo-Chinyon's aura, Saint Emissary Han Ning immediately lost her footing and was pushed back. After retreating more than 10 steps, Saint Envoy Han Ning finally found her footing. Saint Envoy Han Ning steadied herself, her face full of shock as she looked at Emo-Chinyon and exclaimed, "So strong! The degree of terror of this aura is already no weaker than a constellation powerhouse." Her cultivation was also at the Immortal Infant stage, but under Emo-Chinyon's aura, she had no resistance at all. This situation was very unusual. Mr. Mo's true combat strength is probably comparable to a constellation powerhouse. Sensing Emo-Chinyon's terrifying aura, Saint Envoy Han Ning made a rough estimate of Emo-Chinyon's strength and sighed inwardly. No wonder the 3 patriarchs of the Eternal South Immortal Palace accepted Mr. Mo as their disciple. At this moment, Saint Envoy Han Ning's doubts suddenly had a perfect answer. Since Ghost Moon is not in the mansion, I will not disturb you anymore. Knowing that Ghost Moon was not in the mansion, Mo Qingyun decided to stay in the Ghost Moon mansion, and was ready to kill his way to the House of Hundred Changes. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he no longer hesitated and turned to leave. Mr. Mo, please wait. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was about to leave the Ghost Moon mansion, Saint Envoy Han Ning's expression changed, and she hurriedly called out to him, Mr. Mo, Ghost Moon went to the House of Hundred Changes half a month ago. You can't change the fact that you're going now. Why don't you come with us tomorrow? Saint Envoy Han Ning's words were to prevent Mo Qingyun from doing anything rash, and secondly, she was worried that Mo Qingyun would be at a disadvantage if he went to the House of Hundred Changes. Hearing Saint Envoy Han Ning's words, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, All right, I'll go with you tomorrow. Mo Qingyun agreed to go tomorrow not because he was not worried about Ghost Moon, but because he thought that even if he went to the House of Hundred Changes now, he would wait until tomorrow to kill Golden Peak of Hundred Changes. In this way, there was no difference if he went with Saint Envoy Han Ning tomorrow. Mr. Mo, please come with me. I'll arrange a place for you to stay. Seeing that Mo Qingyun agreed to stay, Saint Envoy Han Ning made a gesture of invitation and led the way for Mo Qingyun. A moment later, under Saint Envoy Han Ning's lead, Mo Qingyun came to a quiet courtyard. Mr. Mo, I'll have to condescend to let you stay here today. After bringing Mo Qingyun to his residence, Saint Envoy Han Ning said apologetically to Mo Qingyun. Hearing Saint Envoy Han Ning's words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head, replying, Senior, you're too serious. I should be the one disturbing you. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun and Saint Envoy Han Ning were talking, a young man with an unrestrained appearance slowly walked towards them. And Han Ning, who is this young master? When he came in front of Mo Qingyun and Saint Envoy Han Ning, the young man looked at Mo Qingyun curiously and asked about Mo Qingyun's identity. Hearing the young man ask about Mo Qingyun's identity, Saint Envoy Han Ning smiled faintly and introduced him. This is Mr. Mo, a friend of mine. He's also an important guest of our residence. Seeing Saint Envoy Han Ning introduce Mo Qingyun, Gui Yuemin smiled slyly and winked at Mo Qingyun, saying, Mr. Mo, you're a guest from afar. Do you want me to take you somewhere to relax? Seeing Gui Yuemin's action, Saint Envoy Han Ning's pretty face immediately changed. She understood Gui Yuemin's intention. As expected, he was going to take Mo Qingyun to the Red House in the city to have some fun. How could she allow such a thing to happen? Immediately after, Saint Envoy Han Ning's pretty face turned serious. She glared at Gui Yuemin unhappily and said, Minner, don't be rude. Mr. Mo is an important person. How could he mess around like you? Mr. Mo, Aunt won't allow it. I can only say sorry. Seeing Saint Envoy Han Ning's unhappy face, Gui Yuemin shrugged at Mo Qingyun and made a helpless gesture. He then turned around and left. Seeing Gui Yuemin's action, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He had a good impression of Gui Yuemin. This guy was really quick to kill. Mr. Mo, I'm sorry for offending you. I hope you don't take offense. After Gui Yuemin left, Saint Envoy Han Ning apologized to Mo Qingyun with an apologetic look. It's okay. Mo Qingyun shook his head indifferently. He was not unhappy with Gui Yuemin. After that, Mo Qingyun chatted with Saint Envoy Han Ning for a while. Then, Saint Envoy Han Ning left. To Mo Qingyun's surprise, Gui Yuemin came back not long after Saint Envoy Han Ning left. Mr. Mo, are you used to living here? Gui Yuemin walked into the yard with a casual smile and asked Mo Qingyun how he felt. Seeing Gui Yuemin walk into the yard, Mo Qingyun was stunned. He smiled faintly and said, I'm used to it. What brings you here? Aunt doesn't know how to entertain people. She neglected Mr. Mo. How could I just ignore it? Gui Yuemin grinned and said his own twisted logic. He then smiled at Emo Qingyun and said, Mr. Emo, it's boring to stay in the house. I'll take you out for a walk. Chapter 1423. Seeing Gui Yuemin's action, Emo Qingyun showed a helpless expression and left with Gui Yuemin. No matter what, Gui Yuemin was also very enthusiastic. How could he reject his good intentions? After a while, Emo Qingyun, under Gui Yuemin's lead, arrived at Gui Luo City, where Gui Yuemin's family was located. In Gui Luo City, Gui Yuemin obviously had a good reputation. Along the way, when people saw him, they all respectfully bowed to him. Brother Emo, it's not that I want to brag, but in Gui Luo City, no one dares to not give me face. Walking on the streets of Gui Luo City, Gui Yuemin showed a proud expression, showing off his prestige to Emo Qingyun. Seeing Gui Yuemin's performance, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and did not express any opinion. Gui Yuemin was not displeased with Emo Qingyun's attitude, and still talked and laughed enthusiastically. Not long after, while Emo Qingyun and Gui Yuemin were talking, several young men rushed towards them. Young Master Min, these few people came in front of Gui Yuemin and showed an excited expression, speaking in Gui Yuemin's ear. Hearing these people's words, Gui Yuemin's eyes immediately lit up, showing an excited and expectant expression. Immediately, Gui Yuemin beamed with joy. He winked at Emo Qingyun and said, Brother Emo, you're in luck today. You've just arrived in Ghost Luo City, and you've already found something good. Something good? Emo Qingyun frowned slightly, not understanding Gui Yuemin's meaning. However, before Emo Qingyun could understand, Gui Yuemin pulled him forward. Seeing Gui Yuemin's action, the surrounding people showed curiosity, and could not help but look at Emo Qingyun a few more times. They must be very curious about who Emo Qingyun was, to be valued so highly by Gui Yuemin. Not long after, under the guidance of Gui Yuemin and the others, Emo Qingyun came in front of a building. Wanjun Building. Seeing the sign outside the building, Emo Qingyun immediately understood what kind of place this building was. As it turned out, this Gui Yuemin had spent so much time just to bring him to the Red Chamber to have fun. Thinking of this, Emo Qingyun immediately felt a strong admiration for Gui Yuemin. This guy was too much. At this moment, Emo Qingyun's impression of Gui Yuemin had inexplicably improved. From Gui Yuemin, Emo Qingyun felt a sense of closeness that he hadn't felt for a long time. It was as if he had felt the same way as Ling Luo. Ling Luo's personality seemed to be very similar to Gui Yuemin's. He also liked to linger in front of flowers under the moonlight. Brother Emo, what are you waiting for? Come in with us. Seeing Emo Qingyun standing still at the door, Gui Yuemin urged Emo Qingyun with an impatient expression. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun didn't act pretentiously and walked into the restaurant. This wasn't the first time he had come to this kind of place, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about. Walking into the restaurant, Emo Qingyun discovered that the layout of the restaurant was no different from the Red Chamber of the Tianhan continent. The only difference was that the women here were more beautiful than the ones in the Red Chamber of the Tianhan continent. These women had an otherworldly and ethereal aura, which made them even more attractive to men. Young Master Min, you haven't been here in a long time. Seeing Gui Yuemin enter the Wanjun restaurant, a middle-aged woman in the Wanjun restaurant immediately welcomed him with a smile. Shoo shoo shoo, don't try to worm your way into being friends with this young master. Do I know you that well? Gui Yuemin's expression was one of disgust as he put some distance between himself and the middle-aged woman. Then, he pointed at Emo Qingyun and said, This is Mr. Emo. I brought him here to relax today. If there are any good goods, immediately call them up. Yes, I'll go right away. Please wait a moment. Seeing Gui Yuemin introduce Emo Qingyun to Emo Qingyun, The middle-aged woman looked at Emo Chingyun a few more times before immediately going to call the girls. Once the middle-aged woman was far away, Gui Yuemin extended his right hand and gestured for Emo Chingyun to follow him. Brother Emo, let's go to the second floor first. That old woman will bring people over soon. All right. Emo Chingyun nodded and followed Gui Yuemin to the second floor of the Wanjun restaurant. Gui Yuemin was clearly very familiar with the restaurant. When he brought Emo Chingyun to the second floor, he walked into a room with great familiarity. Not long after Gui Yuemin entered the room, the middle-aged woman who had just left came in with a group of girls. Seeing the tacit understanding between the middle-aged woman and Gui Yuemin, Emo Chingyun immediately guessed that Gui Yuemin had come here often. Young Master Min, these girls are new here. They are each more beautiful than the other. After bringing the girls in, the middle-aged woman introduced them with great delight, praising them to the heavens. Especially when the middle-aged woman introduced the last girl, her expression became even more excited. She said with an exaggerated expression, "This girl is called Zhang Sunchushin. Her mother is from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Her body also contains the bloodline of the Fox clan. Young Master Min, you are an expert. You should know about the ladies of the Fox clan." After the middle-aged woman finished speaking, she winked at Gui Yuemin with a you-know expression. Nine-Tailed Fox clan? Hearing the middle-aged woman's introduction, Emo Chingyun's expression changed. He curiously sized up Zhang Sunchushin. Seeing Emo Chingyun's interest in Zhang Sunchushin, Gui Yuemin's expression changed. He hurriedly shouted at Emo Chingyun, "Brother Emo, you can't choose this girl. It's better if you choose someone else." Why? Seeing Gui Yuemin's abnormal behavior, Emo Chingyun was puzzled. He couldn't help but ask Gui Yuemin, "Young Master Gui Yuemin, could it be that you like this girl? If that's the case, I can give her to you." For Emo Chingyun, the only reason Zhang Sunchushin could attract his attention was because her mother was from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. If Emo Chingyun had to fight with Gui Yuemin for her because of this, Emo Chingyun wouldn't do it. How is that possible? Seeing that Emo Chingyun had misunderstood him, Gui Yuemin was excited. He immediately explained, "Mr. Emo, you don't know. This guy is so beautiful. If I'm not wrong, he must be a man. Being beautiful makes him a man? What kind of logic was that?" After hearing Gui Yuemin's fallacy, Emo Chingyun was dumbfounded. He was immediately confused by Gui Yuemin's words. Seeing that Emo Chingyun was confused and doubtful of his words, Gui Yuemin explained, "Last time, there was a guy who was as beautiful as him. In the end, the thing that he took out was bigger than mine. It scared the hell out of me." Emo Chingyun was speechless. Other than admiration for Gui Yuemin, there was only admiration left. Even with Ling Luo's martial arts, in front of Gui Yuemin, there was only one word to say. Emo Chingyun didn't want to waste time talking nonsense with Gui Yuemin, so he went crazy with him. Not long after, Gui Yuemin called a few girls and ran to another room to have fun. Seeing this, Emo Chingyun had a helpless expression and asked Zhang Sunchushin to stay with him. Chapter 1424. Sit. Seeing that everyone else had left, Emo Chingyun pointed at a nearby chair for Zhang Sunchushin to sit down. Zhang Sunchushin nodded calmly at Emo Chingyun's instructions and sat down. When Zhang Sunchushin sat down, Emo Chingyun summoned Xia out of the Five Directions pagoda. "Chingyun, what's the matter?" Xia emerged from the Five Directions pagoda with a puzzled expression and hurriedly asked Emo Chingyun. Emo Chingyun didn't answer Xia's question. Instead, he pointed at Zhang Sunchushin. Xia frowned slightly at Emo Chingyun's actions. She didn't understand Emo Chingyun's meaning. Soon, Xia's face filled with shock. Her eyes widened as she stared at Zhang Sunchushin. "You're from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan?" "She's not from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Her mother is from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan." When Xia asked about Zhang Sunchushin's origins, Emo Qingyun explained to her. Xia's expression shifted slightly at Emo Qingyun's words. She was even more curious about Zhang Sunchushin's identity. Are you also from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan? Zhang Sunchushin was stunned by their conversation. She couldn't help but ask Emo Qingyun and Emo Qingyun. In her view, Emo Qingyun and Emo Qingyun's interest in the Nine-Tailed Fox clan was most likely related to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. No, I'm from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Qingyun is from the Immortal clan. Xia shook her head at Zhang Sunchushin's question and explained her and Emo Qingyun's identities. When Zhang Sunchushin heard Xia's words, she was even more shocked. What? You're from the God clan and he's from the Immortal clan? Why are you two together? At this moment, Zhang Sunchushin's heart was in turmoil. While Zhang Sunchushin was shocked, she also had some nostalgia in her heart. Back then, his mother and father were in a similar situation as Emo Qingyun. Unfortunately, the good times did not last long. Once their parents' affairs were exposed, they were hunted down by the Immortal and Divine clans. Why can't the gods and immortals stay together? Hearing Zhang Sunchushin's words, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but ask, back then, weren't your mother and father a union between a god and an immortal? Unfortunately, they didn't have a good ending. All of them died in the pursuit of the god race and the immortal race. Speaking of her parents, Zhang Sunchushin's expression dimmed, and she said a sorrowful sentence. Seeing Zhang Sunchushin's expression, Emo Qingyun and Joy fell silent. They didn't know how to comfort Zhang Sunchushin. Seeing that the atmosphere in the room had become oppressive because of her words, Zhang Sunchushin forced a smile and said, "Sometimes, I wonder how great it would be if the gods and immortals could get along peacefully. Do you think that my thoughts are silly and naive?" Hearing Zhang Sunchushin's words, Xia frowned slightly and sighed. The enmity between the gods and immortals has lasted for hundreds of millions of years. How could it be so easily resolved? Seeing Xia like this, she seemed to think that Zhang Sunchushin's thoughts were a little unrealistic. However, Emo Qingyun's current thoughts were the exact opposite of Xia's. I think that everything in the world has a pattern. When they unite, they separate, and when they separate, they unite. One day in the future, the gods and immortals will definitely coexist peacefully. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and expressed his opinion. Although Emo Qingyun didn't dare say for certain when this situation would come to fruition, he was certain. One thing he was certain of was that such a situation would definitely occur. When they heard Emo Qingyun's opinion, Xia and Zhang Sunchushin both looked stunned. They were startled by Emo Qingyun's opinion. From Emo Qingyun's words, it seemed that the gods and immortals coexisting peacefully was an inevitable trend. Perhaps because they had a common topic to talk about, Emo Qingyun and the others quickly became familiar with each other. Following that, Emo Qingyun and the other two chatted idly. They talked about the immortal race for a while, and about the divine race for a while. During this time, Xia learned a few things about the Nine-Tailed Fox clan from Zhang Sunchushin. Because of Zhang Sunchushin's mother, the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's current situation seemed to have become very grim. "Qingyun, can you accompany me on a trip to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan?" After learning about the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's situation, Xia asked Emo Qingyun with a worried expression. Of course. Emo Qingyun agreed to Xia's request without hesitation. He said, "After I've dealt with Gui Yu's matter, I'll follow you to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan." "Qingyun, thank you." When she heard Emo Qingyun's reply, Xia smiled happily and hurriedly thanked Emo Qingyun. Several hours later, while Emo Qingyun and the others were chatting, Gui Yu Min, who had run off to have fun, returned. "Brother Emo, you've had enough fun. We should go back." Gui Yu Min's voice came from outside the room. From his tone, he seemed to have had a lot of fun. When he heard Gui Yu Min's voice, Emo Qingyun sent Xia into the 5 directions small pagoda to avoid any unnecessary trouble. After sending Xie into the 5 directions small pagoda, Mo Qingyun stood up and went to the door. He said to Gui Yumin outside, "Let's go." Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of him, Gui Yumin looked at Zhang Sun Chuxin and immediately smiled meaningfully. From his point of view, Mo Qingyun's insistence on keeping Zhang Sun Chuxin was probably because he had done something with her. "Mr. Mo, can you take Chuxin with you?" Seeing that Mo Qingyun was about to leave, Zhang Sun Chuxin had a pleading expression, hoping that Mo Qingyun would take her away from here. From her point of view, the only person in the world who would not discriminate against her was probably Mo Qingyun. After all, a person who could propose peaceful coexistence between the immortal race and the god race would not discriminate between races. "Brother Mo, you're amazing." Seeing Zhang Sun Chuxin's request, Gui Yumin was shocked and gave Mo Qingyun a thumbs up. The meaning of Gui Yumin's action could not be more obvious. Any man would be able to understand. He was hinting at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's skills in that aspect were not bad. He actually made Zhang Sun Chuxin reluctant to leave. Mo Qingyun did not care about Gui Yumin's thoughts. He only looked at Zhang Sun Chuxin with a frown. His current situation was not optimistic. If he brought Zhang Sun Chuxin with him, it would be very inconvenient. However, when he thought of Zhang Sun Chuxin's identity, Mo Qingyun could not bear to leave her here. This was because Zhang Sun Chuxin was a mixed blood between the god race and the immortal race. If people knew, they would discriminate against her. "Let's go." After pondering for a moment, Mo Qingyun nodded at Zhang Sun Chuxin and decided to take her away. Seeing that Mo Qingyun agreed to take her away, Zhang Sun Chuxin's expression immediately lit up. She hurriedly ran towards Mo Qingyun and said gratefully, "Thank you, Mr. Mo. In the future, I will serve you well." "Serve you well?" Hearing Zhang Sun Chuxin's words, Gui Yumin's eyes lit up as if he had found the key point. Chapter 1425. Let's go. Looking at Gui Yumin's perverted expression, Mo Qingyun didn't explain to him and directly walked out of Wanjun restaurant. Seeing Mo Qingyun walk out of the room, Zhang Sun Chuxin hurriedly followed, ignoring Gui Yumin. "Hey, wait for me." When Mo Qingyun and Zhang Sun Chuxin were far away, Gui Yumin stopped daydreaming and chased after Mo Qingyun and Zhang Sun Chuxin. Coming to Mo Qingyun's side, Gui Yumin glanced at Zhang Sun Chuxin and said with a faint smile, "Brother Mo, I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to redeem Zhang Sun Chuxin. Don't I have you here? I believe such a small matter shouldn't be too difficult for you, right?" Mo Qingyun smiled meaningfully and raised his eyebrows at Gui Yumin, revealing an expression that said, "I think highly of you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Gui Yumin was instantly dumbfounded. Did he just dig a hole for himself? However, a person's face was like a tree's bark. Since he had previously boasted that he could settle everything in Gui Luo City, he naturally couldn't slap his own face now. "Of course, leave this small matter to me." Gui Yumin patted his chest and hurriedly promised Mo Qingyun. Immediately, Gui Yumin went to find the middle-aged woman to discuss the matter of redeeming Zhang Sun Chuxin. Seeing that Gui Yumin went to redeem Zhang Sun Chuxin, Mo Qingyun took Zhang Sun Chuxin and directly walked out of Wanjun restaurant. "Stop." Just as Mo Qingyun and Zhang Sun Chuxin were about to leave, a group of people blocked their way. Seeing that his path was blocked, Mo Qingyun's eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a cold glint in his eyes. When Mo Qingyun's cold expression swept across the people in front of him, a chubby young man raised his head and said, "Kid, you're quite bold. You actually dare to covet the woman this young master fancies." After the chubby young man finished speaking, he turned to look at Zhang Sun Chuxin and said, "Beauty, you want to redeem yourself, right? As long as you say the word, this young master will redeem you immediately." "No need, young master Pang Hong. Hearing the Chushin's words, a respectful expression appeared on Zhang Sun Chushin's face as she quickly responded. Then, Zhang Sun Chushin took a few steps back and stood behind Mo Qingyun. Beauty, don't hide, this kid can't protect you. Seeing Zhang Sun Chushin's actions, Pang Hong smiled proudly, as if he was sure that Zhang Sun Chushin would win. At this moment, while Mo's and Zhang Sun S's and the middle-aged woman's S, seeing Zhang Sun Chushin's S's had a looks go S's. Oh! The middle-aged woman's eyes lit up and she smiled in surprise. Young Master Pang Hong, I'm an honest person. You can't fool me. Aunt Lan Yi, when have I, Pang Hong, ever lied to you? Pang Hong patted his chest and asked Lan Yi, tell me, how many spirit stones did Gui Yuemin spend? I'll pay him double. Pang Hong, don't go too far. Seeing Pang Hong's actions, Zhang Sun Chushin's face darkened. He looked like he was going to fight with Pang Hong. Seeing Zhang Sun Chushin's actions, Mo Qingyun quickly raised his hand to stop him. He looked at Pang Hong with a faint smile and said, don't be angry. Since he's so rich, let him redeem Chushin. Mr. Mo, hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhang Sun Chushin immediately panicked. She thought Mo Qingyun didn't want to care about her anymore. Not only did Zhang Sun Chushin think so, Zhang Sun Chushin thought so too. He said in surprise, Brother Mo, you don't have to be afraid of Pang Hong. Although he has some background, I don't need to care about him. Haha, you don't have to worry. Leave it to me. Mo Qingyun still had a faint smile on his face. He looked at Pang Hong's group playfully, but he didn't stop them. When Pang Hong saw Mo Qingyun's actions, he thought Mo Qingyun was scared. He became even more arrogant and said, Kid, you're quite smart. You're more tactful than Zhang Sun Chushin. Humph. Zhang Sun Chushin snorted and turned his head with an unhappy expression. Seeing that Zhang Sun Chushin and Mo Qingyun didn't speak, Aunt Lan Yi immediately smiled and said with joy, Young Master Pang Hong, Young Master Zhang Sun Chushin paid a total of 10 million low-grade immortal stones. If you pay double, it'll be 20 million low-grade immortal stones. It's only 20 million low-grade immortal stones. It's nothing. After hearing Aunt Lan Yi's words, Pang Hong smiled and took out a Qiankuan bag. Clatter then, immortal stones fell from the Qiankuan bag into the Luan Jun restaurant. Soon, a small mountain of immortal stones appeared in front of Mo Qingyun's group. Aunt Lan Yi, here are 200,000 middle-grade immortal stones. Please count them. Pang Hong threw out a pile of immortal stones and gestured for Aunt Lan Yi to count the number of immortal stones. Seeing this, Aunt Lan Yi didn't say anything and immediately counted the number of immortal stones. After a while, Aunt Lan Yi put away all the immortal stones with a bright smile and said, 200,000 middle-grade immortal stones. It's just right. Aunt Lan Yi, since the number of immortal stones is correct, I'll take Miss Chushin with me. Hearing Aunt Lan Yi's words, Pang Hong immediately grinned and turned his head to look at Zhang Sun Chushin, saying, Beauty, I have already redeemed your freedom. Come with me obediently. No. Hearing Pang Hong's words, Zhang Sun Chushin's pretty face paled, and she hid behind Mo Qingyun. Seeing Zhang Sun Chushin's actions, Mo Qingyun looked at Pang Hong playfully and said to Zhang Sun Chushin behind him, Miss Chushin, young Master Pang Hong bought your freedom. You should thank him. Zhang Sun Chushin was stunned by Mo Qingyun's words. She didn't understand Mo Qingyun's plan. However, due to her trust in Mo Qingyun, Zhang Sun Chushin walked forward and bowed to Pang Hong. Thank you, young Master Pang Hong, for redeeming my freedom. Haha, it's no problem. Pang Hong laughed and revealed a mischievous smile. He said, As long as you serve me well at night, this young master is willing to spend more money. Upon hearing Pang Hong's words, Zhang Sun Chushin immediately retreated and looked at Pang Hong with a terrified expression. While Zhang Sun Chushin was panicking, Mo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly. He said to Zhang Sun Chuxin, Miss Chuxin, since young Master Pang Hong has redeemed your freedom, let's go. Zhang Sun Chuxin and Gui Yuemin were stunned. After all this time, Mo Qingyun wanted Pang Hong to pay so that he could leave with Zhang Sun Chuxin. One had to admit that his plan was well thought out. Stop right there. When Pang Hong saw that Mo Qingyun and the others were about to leave, he was somewhat dumbfounded and hurriedly shouted at Mo Qingyun. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.